Chapter 58:10. Celestial Ground? Emperor Xia was stunned. Was this the legendary place to become an immortal? As a great emperor, he stood at the peak of this era, but he knew this wasn't the end. He could sense that there were many forbidden lands in the universe, and there were many in the quintessential world. The supreme beings in these forbidden lands weren't any weaker than him. They could even compete with him. But these people had been in seclusion and had existed even before he became a great emperor. And they'd existed for many years. Why? Wasn't it because they wanted a chance to become an immortal? And it was said that becoming an immortal had something to do with the celestial ground. But when the celestial ground would descend was uncertain. Who knew how many great emperors had missed the chance to descend, and so they'd chosen to hibernate? He hadn't expected the celestial ground to descend. Was this his great opportunity? He roared at the sky in excitement. Everyone in the Grand Xia dynasty was stunned. The ninth prince and the others also rose into the air, looking into the depths of the palace. Father, what happened? Damn it, was it related to that Lin Gongzi? They were all shocked, but no one dared to go. They didn't believe anyone could hurt the great emperor. Lin Xian's ears hurt from the deafening noise, so he shut off his hearing. He closed his eyes and used Devourer to absorb the power to prevent injury. Then he said, "Senior, I think you're celebrating too early." What did he mean? Emperor Xia stopped laughing and frowned. Lin Xian said, "The celestial ground isn't as wonderful as you think. The great emperor's home in the celestial ground was called the Other Shore. It was indeed a place countless people yearned for. But once you entered the Other Shore, you'd have to bow your head and submit. Would you be willing to become someone's subordinate?" Subordinate? Emperor Xia's expression changed. To tell the truth, he'd been a great emperor for 15,000 years. He'd been invincible for a long time. Only others feared him. He'd already forgotten what it felt like to bow his head. Asking him to bow his head now was more difficult than dying. "Lin Gongzi, you're a seven-crown champion. How do you know so much?" Emperor Xia's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. He was puzzled. The light made Lin Xian feel like he was facing a great enemy. Lin Xian took out his piggy bank and used a black vortex to block it. Extreme weapon. It seems that your background is not simple. Lin Xian, on the other hand, said, "Senior, you don't need to probe into my background, and you don't need to know how I know these things. I'm just reminding you that someone from the Otherworld Kingdom will be here soon. When the time comes, you'll know when you interact with them. Of course, they might be able to fool you. Therefore, I hope that you will think about it carefully. Goodbye." Lin Xian turned around and left. He knew that Emperor Xia might not believe him completely, but that was not important. All he needed to do was to plant the seeds of doubt in the other party's mind. Judging from the arrogance of the people from the Nirvana realm, both sides would soon clash. After Lin Xian returned, he hurried to set up his vermilion immortal array. No matter who the Otherworld Heavenly King sent, he had to hurry up and set up the vermilion immortal array. Contact the Crimson Dragon and ask about the situation. The Crimson Dragon had already subdued many dragons and had them provide him with top-grade dragon veins. However, there was a piece of news that Dragon Shoutian had returned. As a result, the other dragon race members had all fled and sided with Dragon Shoutian. Is Long Shoutian back? Find his location. I'm going to fight him. At the same time, attack the other dragon race members and make them hand over their dragon veins. Lin Xian asked around and found that they had already collected 3,000 top-grade spirit veins. They had about 13% of them. Not enough. Not enough. There was not much time left. At that moment, Lin Xian thought of a way to pass on the technique. He had once cultivated the illusory demon scripture. Although he had now cut off the illusory demon crystal, he could pass it on to others. He could give it to the clans of the ancients. He thought that those people would serve him. Lin Xian went. There were the clans of the ancients, the sky demons, the great sects, the demonic sects, and the earth demon sect. These were all clans and sects that cultivated the demonic path and were very powerful. They were also vicious and cruel. Very few people were willing to deal with them. They were very famous. Lin Xian came. After he arrived, he aggressively killed his way into the sky demons. Who was it? The sky demons were furious, but they were brutally suppressed by Lin Xian with a single hand. Lin Xian suppressed the Sky Demon single-handedly. The Sky Demon's clan leader instantly rushed out. "Do you want to die?" He roared at the sky. A terrifying millstone appeared in his hands. It came from the outer realm and could suppress everything. Lin Xian formed a seal with one hand. The dragon-shaped sword Qi formed a black seal in his hand and slammed it down. Although Lin Xian did not cultivate the illusory demon scripture, the great dragon sword spirit could simulate everything. Therefore, it was easy for him to use these techniques now. The black demonic seal descended from the sky and shattered Mo Fei. The Sky Demon's clan leader was also forced back, his face full of horror. "You're from the demon race." He was too shocked. "Want to learn? I can teach you," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. "You want to die? How dare you trick me?" The Sky Demon's clan leader roared and attacked with all his might. He rushed over. The other Sky Demon's experts also attacked. In an instant, tens of millions of attacks covered the sky and covered the earth, enveloping Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, threw his head back and laughed heartily, forming another seal with one hand. The demonic god seal had already slammed down, causing the thousands of people to vomit blood and fly backwards. Many people's bodies were crushed. Blood dyed the sky red. "It's useless. You're no match for me." Lin Xian stood above the 9 heavens and said solemnly, "I'm using a monarch's mystique, and it's a monarch of the devil race. What do you think? Do you want to learn? Damn it. You will teach us the divine arts of the devils." The heaven devil race's people roared crazily. They didn't believe it. Great Emperor divine abilities were the highest level of inheritance. Only great Emperor clans had them. Furthermore, it was never taught to outsiders. Even in the great Emperor clans, only the top geniuses could learn it. How could it be passed to them? "As long as you work for me, I will pass it to you." "What's going on?" The clan leader of the Sky Fiend race asked through gritted teeth. "It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens." Lin Xian said, "Gather 3,000 top-grade dragon veins for me within a month. I'll leave it to your demon god seal." Was that true? The heaven devil race's patriarch asked solemnly. Lin Xian said, "Believe it or not, you can judge for yourself. You only have one chance." This was a great mystique. Don't miss it. Lin Xian left after saying that. Next, he went to the Demon Gate and the Earth Devil sect and used the same method to tell them. The Demon Gate and the Earth Devil sect's people were also shocked. Their eyes burned with passion. "Go all out, 3,000 dragon veins. Within a month, attack the dragon race crazily. Gather spirit veins for me." These people began to move out crazily. In the quintessential world, overwhelming demonic aura swept across the world, causing countless people's scalps to go numb. Gradually, they realized that it wasn't just the quintessential world. There seemed to be devils everywhere. Were these guys crazy? What were they trying to do? Soon, some of the dragon race's people were attacked, and a great battle broke out. The dragon race was very terrifying, but these devils weren't to be trifled with. Moreover, they had a long history, and soon, some of the dragon race's experts were killed. "Hand over the top-grade dragon veins, and I'll spare your life." The devil's voice was cold, covering the world. Chapter 58:11. In the Cloud Dragon clan, Lin Xian sat high on the throne. He waited patiently. The Crimson Dragon and the Toad also came back. They said, "Boy, will your method work?" Lin Xian said, "Just wait." Not long after, they heard the news of the battle between the Demon Clan and the Dragon Clan. The Toad exclaimed, "There is really a way." The Crimson Dragon said, "You are the only one in the world who dares to take out the great Emperor's magical power and teach it to others. You are really generous." Lin Xian said, "What's there to be reluctant about? The demon transformation scripture is so strange. If I don't cultivate it, it will be a waste to keep it in my hands. Besides, it's just teaching them a magical power. It's not a big deal." In the inheritance of the great Emperor, the most important thing was not these magical powers, but the mental cultivation method of the great Emperor. That was the most precious and core thing. However, Lin Xian would not give this thing to others. This mental cultivation method was very wonderful. Lin Xian could use it to comprehend and silently cultivate his heaven-defying art. Tai Peak. In the east of the true spirit world, there was a very famous steep mountain peak. Countless powerful figures had once comprehended here. It could be said to be a sacred place. At this moment, there were many cultivators climbing the mountain to comprehend on this Tai Peak. On Tai Peak, there were many stones with marks on them. Some were sword marks, saber marks, palm prints, and some were strange runes of great Tao. These were all left behind by the powerful figures of the past who had comprehended here. If others could comprehend it, they would benefit greatly. Therefore, these cultivators were scrambling for it. Jinxiu also came. She came specifically because of the reputation. She heard that there was a very magical place on Tai Peak. Under the moonlight, the image of the Empyrean fairy emerged, practicing a set of magical sword techniques. Only the fated ones could succeed. So this time, Jinxiu was ready to come and watch. She wanted to see what she could comprehend. This place was called the Nine Heaven Stone. In addition to Jinxiu Fairy, there were many talented figures and older masters. Around them, they waited silently. Night fell, the sky darkened, and a moon appeared in the sky. The moon today was especially round, and the moonlight shone down. On the Nine Heavens Stone, a mysterious light appeared. In the surroundings, there was even a mist. This made everyone excited. Perhaps, if they were lucky, they might be able to see the phantom of the Empyrean maiden. Jinxiu was also excited. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on the stone in front of her. A blurry figure seemed to appear in front of him, dancing with a sword under the moonlight. Every move was incomparably mysterious, causing everyone to be stunned. This is great. They were excited to the extreme, but this time, the situation changed. The blurry figure became more and more solid, as if it was about to walk out of the stone. A sword stabbed over, unexpectedly piercing through the void, a great crack appearing everywhere. Quite a few people were sent flying, instantly falling. Oh no, what happened? Everyone was stunned. How could something like this happen? The older masters also frowned. That's impossible. They had never heard of the shadow of Xian of the Nine Heavens coming out and injuring people. Damn it, is someone plotting against us? However, the shadow was completely floating in the sky, dancing under the moonlight like an otherworldly immortal. Moreover, her swordsmanship was getting sharper and sharper. Jinxiu was also attacked. She dodged a sword chi and landed in the distance. Her face turned extremely ugly. This was not the end. The moon seemed to have become extremely strange. The wind completely enveloped the body of Xian of the Nine Heavens. It formed a massive armor on her body, and the sword in her hand turned into a sword of the moon, which was extremely terrifying. Another sword chi slashed over, and endless light shrouded Jinxiu's slender figure. Now, Jinxiu felt that she was hit by the sword. She fell into the endless darkness. She fell from the sky. Was she going to die? There was a trace of despair in her eyes. She didn't expect that this time. Not only did she not get the opportunity, but she also lost her life. However, when she was stabbed by the sword chi of the moonlight, she found that she was not dead. Instead, she was wrapped up. What is this? Jinxiu was completely stunned. The strange thing that happened on Grand Peak instantly spread out. For a moment, the whole eastern wilderness was stunned. How could such a strange thing happen? As for this matter, it spread to the central province, and even the entire elf world. Nothing could be done about it. Typhon was extremely mysterious in the entire true spirit world. Someone said, I saw Fairy Jinxiu fall after being hit by the sword. The people of Jinxiu Palace were in despair. She was their prideful daughter, and now, she had fallen at Tai Peak? No, many people were in despair. The splendid palace had sent out some elders and experts to search for them. Sure enough, there was no news of Fairy Jinxiu. When Luli of Jinxiu Palace heard the news, the corners of her mouth raised into a smile. Great, she will die without having to do anything. Last time, she cooperated with the Ding family to frame Jinxiu, but they failed. 2 geniuses of the Ding family even died, which made her extremely scared. Now, she could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Now that Jinxiu was dead, Jinxiu Palace would fully support her. Thinking of this, she also set off for Grand Peak. She wanted to see with her own eyes how Fairy Jinxiu fell. For a while, Many strong masters went to Grand Peak to investigate. The Great Xia dynasty also sent people there. After all, something strange had happened. When they came to Grand Peak, they felt that the whole peak seemed to have changed. What was the specific situation? But they couldn't tell. The elders of Jinxiu Palace searched frantically. Jinxiu, you're not dead, are you? Lu Li said. I heard that she was hit by a sword. How could she still be alive? Go back, elders. My condolences. I'm here. I will lead Jinxiu Palace to glory. The corner of Lu Li's mouth raised into a smile. However, at this time, in a certain cliff of Typhoon, a ball of resplendent light erupted. The next moment, countless people looked up and exclaimed, What happened? The people of Jinxiu Palace were also shocked. The next moment, they saw a figure rise into the air from the cliff, surrounded by moonlight. It was Jinxiu, who was alive because of Jinxiu. The elders of Jinxiu Palace cheered. Lu Li's face changed drastically. Impossible. How could she still be alive? You must be someone else in disguise. I don't believe it. Go to hell. Lu Li went crazy. She wouldn't allow the other party to live. She slapped out. How dare you? The elders roared crazily. They wanted to stop her, but it was too late. However, Jinxiu glanced at them. With a wave of her hand, a beam of moonlight flew out and hit Lu Li directly. Lu Li flew backward and was cut in half. She died in despair. At the moment of her death, she couldn't believe it. Weren't they both Saint Kings? How could the other party kill her instantly? The elders exclaimed, This is the power of a supreme saint. Jinxiu, have you broken through to the supreme saint? It was too shocking. According to their estimation, no matter how talented Jinxiu was, it was impossible for her to break through to the supreme saint so easily. What happened? Jinxiu was shocked. She really broke through. The power of the supreme saint was the effect of the moonlight. In fact, it wasn't just her. That day, those who were hit by the moonlight sword energy didn't die. Instead, they were all about a breakthrough. They all broke through to the supreme saint. When these people came out, the whole eastern wilderness was shocked. A group of people broke through together. It was incredible. Chapter 58:12. Countless people were shocked by such a scene, because they had never seen such a breakthrough. It was too fast. Moreover, many people broke through at the same time. What kind of fortuitous encounter was it? Lin Xian frowned when he heard the news. The Crimson Dragon exclaimed, Wow, no way. Why do I feel that it's the same as the deity ground we encountered before? Indeed, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. 100,000 years later, the deity ground descended, causing a vision of heaven and earth in the entire universe. Countless people broke through quickly, and their strength improved by leaps and bounds. Some top great saints even broke through to become quasi-emperors. It could be said that it ushered in a golden age of cultivation. He didn't expect that such a situation would happen again this time. Could it be that the deity ground had descended again? Moreover, Lin Xian knew that before, the half-frog shot out a terrifying light into the depths of the universe. It was very likely that it was to inform the Otherworld Heavenly King. Would the Otherworld Heavenly King descend again? He didn't know, but he knew that the crisis had come. The people of the Great Xia dynasty were also shocked when they heard the news. Emperor Xia even came to Tai Peak in person to observe carefully. He shrouded those who broke through under his gaze. Those people trembled in fear. Greetings, Great Emperor. It was so strange. Emperor Xia was also surprised. What kind of power is this? He thought of Lin Xian again. Therefore, he looked for Lin Xian. When Emperor Xia came, the Crimson Dragon and the others also held their breaths. Such an expert was truly too terrifying. He could kill them with just a finger. Lin Xian was extremely calm. Senior, what are you here for? Do you know the news on Tai Peak recently? Emperor Xia asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded and smiled in his heart. He knew that Emperor Xia didn't understand it either. After all, the deity ground was very mysterious. It wouldn't descend easily. Every time it descended, only the luckiest people could encounter it. It was the luck of an era. Lin Xian encountered it. He had met it 100,000 years later. Unexpectedly, He had met it 100,000 years ago. He said, I know. That is the aura of the celestial land. The power it gave off caused the world to change. Celestial ground? Emperor Xia's expression was incomparably solemn. It seemed that the people from the deity ground were coming. He had to prepare well. He turned and left. Lin Xian also said to the Crimson Dragon and the others, although this is very dangerous, it is also an opportunity for us. Perhaps we can use this power to break through again. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. He was already a 7-crown champion. It wouldn't be easy for him to break through. However, if the path to immortality were to descend once more, it would bring with it great power. Lin Xian might be able to use this opportunity to break through and become the 8-crown champion. Long Shout Eon naturally also sensed such a change. The entire Dragon Clan was greatly shocked because many people in the Dragon Clan had used this opportunity to break through. They were overjoyed. The Dragon Clan was going to welcome a new peak. However, they soon discovered that the Dragon Clan was not the only one who had made a breakthrough. The other clans and sects had also made a breakthrough. This confused them. What was going on? The Dragon Clan had a strong bloodline. It was possible for them to break through. Why were the other clans inferior to them able to break through? Long Yu said, Big Brother Tian, what's going on? Her eyes were filled with endless confusion. Long Xiaotian said, it must have something to do with the half-frog. It must be the power brought by that light. Was this the power of the otherworld heavenly king? It was too powerful. It could actually make countless people break through at the same time. In the primeval forest, in a mysterious cave, the half-frog sensed the scene and grinned. Haha, I can feel it. Their power is coming. They are finally coming. When the time comes, I will be free. He was really too excited. He had been trapped in the demon palace for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. He was going crazy. If not for his strong will, he would have died long ago. Even so, he endured the boredom. He wanted to go out. He wanted to conquer the world. He wanted to take revenge on his opponents. In the depths of the universe, there was indeed a mysterious power. It seemed that the otherworld heavenly king was really coming. The entire universe shook. Lin Xian also began to prepare. On one hand, the 3 demon clans were frantically collecting the supreme grade dragon veins. Lin Xian began to set up the immortal slaying formation. On the other hand, he also began to look for a place to snatch the power of the immortal path to break through. After looking around, Lin Xian chose a place. Dragon's Ridge. Like Tai Peak, this place was extremely famous in the true spirit world. However, Tai Peak was in the east, while Dragon's Ridge was in the south. The Dragon's Ridge was continuous, like a divine dragon lying on the ground. Logically speaking, this was a holy land for cultivation. It was a place that countless people wanted to come to. But on the contrary, no one dared to come to the Dragon's Ridge. It was very quiet. Even the Dragon Clan would not come here. They would even deliberately avoid this place. Because the Dragon's Ridge was very strange. There was once a Dragon Clan expert who saw the strange terrain of the Dragon's Ridge. It contained a strong dragon chi, so he cultivated here. In the end, he died inexplicably. There were also a few terrifying Dragon Clan experts who were preparing to build their own clans here. However, overnight, they were turned into ashes. From then on, the mysterious legend of the Dragon's Ridge spread. Countless people investigated, but they did not find anything. Some people did not believe it and cultivated here. In the end, they all died unexpectedly. Therefore, no one dared to come to the Dragon's Ridge anymore. There were not even many demonic beasts. However, on this day, the Dragon's Ridge changed. In the sky, endless lightning flashed, and waves of dragon roars came from the Dragon's Ridge. Countless people in the south all looked up at the sky. Did it change again? Could it be that it was the same as Tai Peak? We didn't have a chance to get Tai Peak last time. This time, it's in the south. We must get it. Countless experts soared into the sky. However, when they saw the place where the power came from, they all stopped. Their faces became ugly. His face turned extremely ugly. Damn it! Why is it here? It was actually the Dragon's Ridge, this incomparably mysterious place. These people hesitated. No one dared to go down. This matter was not only in the southern wasteland, but also in the entire true spirit world. For a moment, experts from other places also rushed over. The people of the Dragon Clan naturally had to know. They quickly reported it to Dragon Shoutian. After hearing this, Dragon Shoutian's eyes bloomed with a sharp light. If he went and obtained this magical power, he might be able to break through. In that way, his strength would increase again, reaching an unbelievable level. Therefore, he was tempted. However, Long Yu said, "Brother Tian, don't act rashly. The Dragon's Ridge is incomparably strange. We have investigated before. We can't go there easily." Indeed, Dragon Shoutian nodded. He had wanted to go to the Dragon's Ridge before to establish a sect. However, he had stayed there for a few days, and his hair stood on end. If he did not have great luck and the talent of a young great emperor, coupled with the many trump cards he had, he would have died. Previously, Dragon Shoutian had stayed for 3 days and left. Now, should he go again? Chapter 58:13. The Great Xia dynasty also received the news of the Dragon's Ridge, and there was a lot of discussion. Those disciples were also moved. They also wanted to break through. After all, they also wanted to become great emperors, although the possibility was slim. As the youngest son of the 9th prince, he was already a quasi-emperor. This time, after receiving the news of the Dragon's Ridge, he clenched his fists. "I must use the power of the Dragon's Ridge." However, he didn't act rashly. Instead, he went to find his father. He asked his father, hoping that Emperor Xia could give him some advice. Emperor Xia helped them deduce and said casually, "Go and take a look. You won't be in danger this time, but it's not certain whether you can get an opportunity." The 9th prince was happy to hear that. Since his life wasn't in danger, he was ready to go. Not only him, the other princes and princesses were also ready to go. Emperor Xia, with his hands behind his back, went to the 9 heavens. His gaze covered the entire true spirit world. As a great emperor, he could clearly feel that some places in the true spirit world had changed. There were even some forbidden lands showing signs of recovery. Buried Earth Star. A confused voice came from the depths of Mount Eternal. Why would the power of the deity land come at this time? The timing wasn't right. Huangling was also confused. Could it be that something had happened? Had the heavenly secrets changed in advance? Clearly, the existences in these forbidden lands were all supreme existences. They had divined the passage of time. However, the situation now was different from what they had deduced. How could they know? In fact, their deduction wasn't wrong. The situation now was caused by Lin Xian and the half-frog. Both of them were people from 100,000 years in the future. Their arrival here naturally changed some things. Because of that, these forbidden lands of life sent out people to investigate. These people hid in the dark and kept a low profile. On the other side, Lin Xian was beaming. The 3 demon clans kept attacking and had already obtained more than 4,000 supreme gray dragon veins. Including the 3,000 from before, they already had 7,000. They were still short of 2,000. He asked the 3 demon clans to continue working hard. He even taught them mystiques. This was only the beginning of the demon god seal. However, it was enough to make the 3 great demon clans go wild with joy. They said, "Don't worry, young master. We will collect it as soon as possible." Just the starting gesture had such power. If it was a complete demon god seal, how terrifying would it be? The 3 great demon clans didn't dare to imagine. After instructing the 3 demonic races to continue snatching the peak dragon vein, Lin Xian prepared to make his move. Naturally, he had also heard about the news about the Dragon's Ridge. He would not miss this opportunity. "Let's go." Lin Xian rose into the air and flew towards Dragon Ridge. With their strength, they arrived at Dragon's Ridge very quickly. At that moment, countless people had arrived at the Dragon's Ridge. However, they were all watching from the outside. No one dared to enter the Dragon Ridge. Furthermore, this scene was extremely bizarre. Outside the Dragon's Ridge, the sky was clear for thousands of miles. Inside the Dragon's Ridge, there was thunder and lightning. The Crimson Dragon didn't come. He was helping to set up the peak-grade spirit veins. The toad rushed over to watch the show. He exclaimed, "Kid, It's really the same as what we encountered back then. Heaven and earth anomaly. It was the dragon god. Some people from the remote antiquity families exclaimed when they saw Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian's previous actions at the Chaos Wine Party were too shocking. He didn't put the Dragon Clan in his eyes at all. Naturally, they remembered this young man. The other people also exclaimed, "Is he the young man who challenged the Dragon Clan?" He also came. I wonder if Dragon Shoutian of the Dragon Clan will come? Everyone was looking forward to it. Not long after, countless dragon roars came from the sky again. Dragon shadows swept across the world. Everyone exclaimed, "He's here." Dragon Shoutian really came. In the sky, landing, the first man, is Long Shoutian. He is very handsome. His figure was tall and straight, surrounded by thousands of glory. He was really like a god descending, making countless people look up to him. When Lin Xian saw the other party, he narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "You still dare to come. Aren't you afraid that I will destroy you?" Everyone's scalp went numb. This guy directly challenged Dragon Shoutian. I wonder if the two sides will fight? Not many people knew about the previous battle with Dragon Shoutian. Therefore, they didn't know that Dragon Shoutian was beaten away by Lin Xian. After Dragon Shoutian heard this, his face was extremely gloomy. He snorted coldly and ignored Lin Xian. Instead, he stared at the dragon ridge below. In his eyes, a touch of fire appeared. What a terrifying aura! This dragon ridge was indeed mysterious. "You don't even dare to respond to us." The toad sneered. Just like this, he was called a great emperor? The heavens were unfair. The toad jumped out and just wanted to provoke him again. But at this time, between heaven and earth, a terrifying aura came. Everyone was shocked. It was the people of the Great Xia dynasty. This time, 3 princes of the Great Xia dynasty came. In addition to the 9th prince, there was also the 5th prince and the 7th prince. Those 2 people were older and stronger, unfathomable. The Great Xia dynasty came with a strong force, and countless people hurriedly bowed. Even those people of the Dragon Clan were facing a great enemy. Dragon Shoutian's expression was solemn. The 3 princes came together. It seemed that they were determined to win. Lin Gongzi also came. After the 9th prince saw Lin Xian, he smiled and greeted him. This surprised countless people. It seemed that the relationship between the two sides was very good. It was too incredible. How could the relationship between the Dragon Clan and the Great Xia dynasty be good? They were extremely surprised. Even the 5th prince and the 7th prince next to him frowned. "9th brother, you are very familiar with this guy." "5th brother, 7th brother, you just came back from the outside and don't know what happened before." This Lin Gongzi is amazing. Imperial Father had even met him personally. There was such a thing? The 2 princes were also surprised. They looked at Lin Xian, and their expressions became solemn. They felt an unfathomable and terrifying aura from Lin Xian. This feeling was as if they were facing Dragon Shoutian. It seemed that he was a top master. Lin Xian also greeted the 9th prince and the others of the Great Xia dynasty. Then, he walked forward. Was he going to make a move? When the others saw this scene, they all cried out in alarm. "Kid, you are too reckless. Do you know what kind of place this Dragon's Ridge is?" On the side of the myriad Dragon Clan, someone suddenly said coldly. The people of the Great Xia dynasty also frowned. Beside the 5th prince, an old man was surprised. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been so reckless. Did this brat not have any knowledge at all? The surrounding spectators also shook their heads and sighed. They originally thought that he was quite powerful. However, he actually did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Was the Dragon's Ridge a place that could be entered casually? That's right. Without seeing Dragon Shoutian, no one dared to enter. Even the 3 princes of the Great Xia dynasty were there, waiting for a great enemy. This kid went in so easily. Was he not afraid of accidentally dying? Hearing these discussions, Lin Xian laughed. There was an invincible confidence in his eyes. Even if it was the Dragon's Ridge, so what? Even if it was a forbidden land of life, so what? No one can go where I want to go. Chapter 58:14. Lin Xian's words were full of pride, shocking countless people. However, The following words caused the faces of many experts to turn ugly. Lin Xian smiled. What's wrong? You people don't even have the courage to do this? How pathetic. What was the meaning of this? Were they despised? The faces of some of the experts turned ugly. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly, and an extremely sharp light appeared in his eyes. On the side of the Great Xia Empire, the 5th prince and the 7th prince were frowning as well. This time, even they were despised by the other party. He was really arrogant. The 9th prince smiled bitterly. He had already seen Lin Xian's arrogance. Therefore, he was not surprised now. Instead, his 2 brothers were furious. The 5th prince sneered. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Go in if you have the guts. What's the use of just talking? I want to see. Later. Why are you crying when you come out? I will go in. Lin Xian retracted his gaze, no longer paying attention to these people, and strode towards the dragon's ridge. Behind him, the toad also muttered, Kid, be careful. There are so many experts as if they are facing a great enemy. It is enough to show that the dragon's ridge is not simple. Lin Xian naturally knew this. He took a deep breath, and his body bloomed with radiance as he descended. As soon as he entered the dragon's ridge, endless lightning struck down from the sky. Lin Xian used his body to resist it, and a roar shook the sky. What a strong physique. This kid was really too strong. The surrounding people were surprised when they saw Lin Xian block the heavenly lightning with only his physique. It should be known that even veteran experts, armed with Saint-tier artifacts and armor, would not dare to enter the palace. He had some skills, but this was just the beginning. The 5th prince said in a deep voice. Lin Xian resisted the heavenly lightning and descended towards the dragon's ridge again. His eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying reincarnation power to investigate. He naturally knew that the dragon's ridge was not simple. There seemed to be something. When he descended on the dragon's ridge, he felt it. A shocking tremor came from beneath the ground, as if it was going to send him flying. He lost his balance and was thrown into the air. All right, that brat is out of luck. The people of the 10,000 dragon tribe laughed coldly. The others were also in an uproar. Was he going to die? However, in the next instant, countless sword cheese tore apart the vibrating power, and he descended once again. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as he landed on the dragon's ridge. Then, he closed his eyes. He could sense that there was an enormous creature roaring angrily in the dragon ridge below. Roar! His voice echoed out for millions upon millions of kilometers, and everyone in the area was sent tumbling backward, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. The people of the Great Xia dynasty and the Dragon Clan were also on high alert. Why did it feel like there was a senior of the Dragon Clan here? Countless people exclaimed. An extremely cold light burst out from the 5th prince's eyes. The 7 sons were one step ahead of him and rushed over as well. This was because he was very worried that the opportunity would be snatched away by Lin Xian. Brat, come back. The opportunity ahead is not something you can get. The 7th prince's expression was cold, and a cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. He would not let Lin Xian succeed. Lin Xian laughed coldly. You didn't dare to come just now, but now that you see that I'm safe and sound, you want to come and snatch the opportunity. There's no such thing in the world. Get lost. Lin Xian raised his hand and threw out a heaven-defying punch. The unparalleled fist slammed into the 9 heavens, and an earth-shattering sound was heard as the 7th prince was sent flying. The 7th prince was sent flying, spitting out blood, and cracks appeared on his body. Damn it! How could he be so terrifying? He was terrified. As the son of the great emperor, he was personally taught by the great emperor. How terrifying was his strength! In his opinion, only a few of his brothers could become his enemy. In addition, only Long Xiaotian could fight with him. He did not care about the others at all, but now, Lin Xian injured him with a single punch. How could he not be shocked? Lin Xian shook his head. You want to fight with me? You're too far away. You'll have to train your physique to perfection first. His words were filled with disdain. This made the 7th prince spit out blood, but the others were shocked. Lin Xian was really too strong. He was indeed qualified to look down on everyone. However, would the Great Xia dynasty let this go? Seventh brother, you're too careless. Let's fight together. This is something that we brothers can fight for, but others are not qualified. Hearing this, Huang Jizi also walked out. The three disciples would work together to beat the others out, and then the three brothers would fight for it. This way, no matter who got it, it would belong to the great Xia dynasty. It's over. That kid is in danger. 3 against 1. No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to resist. That's right. The great Xia dynasty is indeed an overlord. Everyone was discussing. Toad was hopping mad. Shameless. Fight me one-on-one if you dare. However, no matter how much he shouted, it was useless. Before he could go up to help, he was stopped by Lin Xian. He said, "Don't come in. This place is dangerous. I feel that there's something below." When they heard this, they quickly stopped. He shouted from afar, "Kid, be careful. If you can't win, run." TSK, this guy is too unloyal. Some of the spectators looked at him with disdain. Toad's face turned red. He then said coldly, "What do you know? This is called strategy. If that kid is in danger, I can go and get help. Are they going to fight? How could I miss it?" On the other side, Long Xiaotian also walked forward. "Brother Tian, be careful." Long Yu and the others shouted from behind. Long Qing did not cheer for Long Xiaotian. Her beautiful eyes fell on Lin Xian. It was obvious that she was very interested in Lin Xian. Long Xiaotian also came in. "Do you think the two of them will join forces?" One was called the Dragon King, the other was called the Dragon God. Both of them were from the Dragon clan. They would definitely join forces to fight against the Great Xia dynasty. Everyone guessed that the people of the Great Xia dynasty were also facing a great enemy. However, Lin Xian said, "Long Xiaotian, don't think about joining forces with me. I don't need it." You. Long Xiaotian was trembling with anger. He did have the intention to join forces, but now he changed his mind. "Kid, I'll see how you die later." This brat actually wanted to fight one-on-one and break through the horizon. Wasn't he too reckless? Countless people were stunned when they looked at Lin Xian. Wasn't this guy a little too overconfident? Toad was excited. Hee, just watch. Soon, you will know how powerful this kid is. Come on. Lin Xian waved his hand. "Let me see if you are qualified to be my opponent." At this moment, he was extremely arrogant. Courting death. The seventh prince roared and charged forward. His fists turned into thousands of meteors as he charged forward. The fifth prince also snorted. He waved his sleeve and released a biting cold sword chi. The ninth prince's palm also approached and used a peerless skill. The battle erupted in an instant. An earth-shattering power swept out toward Lin Xian. Chapter 58:15. On the side of the Great Xia dynasty, the three of them joined forces to attack. Long Xiaotian did not participate. He flew directly to the dragon's ridge below. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to gain power in advance. Lin Xian was extremely arrogant. He was not afraid in the face of the three princes. He even took the initiative to provoke them. Terrifying power and laws hit Lin Xian's body, but they could not shake his body. Lin Xian also punched out. The heaven-defying fist had the power to defy the heavens. The other hand was the Nine Suns' divine fist, which had the power of the extreme yang. The two collided, and a terrifying aura swept across the area. The roar caused a huge storm. The three princes were forced to retreat. Their blood was boiling, and their faces turned ugly. The three of them could not suppress the other party? Damn it, I don't believe it. The fifth prince's figure became taller, as if he had turned into a god of war. A terrifying hurricane formed on the seventh prince's side. It had a destructive power that tore the void apart. The ninth prince had formed a pair of strange eyes that would cause one's soul to tremble just by looking at them. The three of them had their own methods and quickly attacked. The towering god of war giant slapped out with a palm. Its power was much stronger than before. The destructive storm was extremely strange. It came without a trace and instantly came to Lin Xian's side. The ninth prince's terrifying eyes were a pair of black eyes that shrouded Lin Xian's soul. This was an ultimate skill. The three martial monarch sons had finally unleashed their strongest ultimate skills. The spectators exclaimed again, "Can this dragon god withstand it?" Lin Xian roared to the sky. Good. Lin Xian's fist carried a heaven-defying power and fiercely hit the palm of the god of war. The two collided, and the roar was like 100,000 heavenly thunders. The giant figure was sent flying. That arm was severed and turned into a bloody mist that filled the sky. The fifth prince screamed in pain as he was sent flying. Lin Xian waved his arm, and a biting cold sword chi slashed at the surrounding storm. It was useless. The seventh prince roared, "The wind is shapeless. You can't hit it." Sure enough, the storms instantly dispersed and gathered in other places. Lin Xian snorted coldly. So what if it's invisible? Even if it was the void, I would be able to slice it apart, let alone a mere storm like you. After the sharp sword chi slashed down, the wind was actually destroyed. The seventh prince's face turned ferocious. How is this possible? He seemed to have seen the most frightening thing. The invisible wind was actually cut. What kind of swordsmanship was this? Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood as his body was split into two halves. He was so scared that he quickly retreated. However, Ninth Prince's black eyes had already enveloped Lin Xian's soul. This battle was over. Prince Juzi said coldly. He was extremely confident in his eye technique. I didn't expect you to use an eye technique. However, you should also experience my dojutsu. Lin Xian's Rinnegan has opened, blooming with incomparable brilliance. The power of the samsara appeared. Heavenly Tao. A pair of hands slapped out, slapping the black eyes towards Prince Juzi. Prince Juzi spat out a mouthful of blood as his face turned extremely ugly. How is this possible? Your soul is also so powerful. His fifth brother's physique was terrifying, but the person in front of him was even more terrifying. His seventh brother's laws were mysterious, but the other party could cut through them with a sword. Prince Juzi's soul was strong, and his opponent's soul shouldn't be strong. However, he didn't expect the other party's soul to be so heaven-defying. Does this person have no weakness? He couldn't understand. In the blink of an eye, the three princes were defeated. Each of them was extremely embarrassed. The surrounding spectators were dumbfounded. How could this be? This dragon god was too terrifying. He was extremely strong. No wonder he was so arrogant. He had the right to be arrogant. The faces of the three disciples turned extremely ugly. At this moment, something happened below them. The mountain range below them started to rumble. The roar of a giant dragon resounded between heaven and earth, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Everyone's soul shook violently, and they couldn't help but want to kneel down. What is this? The 3 martial monarchs' sons were terrified. Even Lin Xian slammed into the ground. Had Dragon Xiaotian activated something? His body swayed, and he quickly descended. At the same time, the dragon scales below seemed to have come alive and let out a rumbling sound. This couldn't be a dragon vein, right? Countless people were terrified. Those from the dragon tribe were also shocked. What a powerful Tao of dragon. It's not just a dragon vein. This dragon vein might be alive. What does this mean? Countless young people were shocked. The older generation said, the dragon vein has spirituality and can cultivate. No way. However, there were also experts who said, there's another possibility. This is not a dragon vein at all. This is a dragon that's trapped here. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Let's go. Some people couldn't help but want to rush over to see what opportunities there were. The 3 martial monarchs' sons landed on the ground too. As soon as they landed, they could feel a great impact. Lin Xian's face turned pale. This dragon vein is too terrifying. Its power is almost comparable to that of a great emperor. However, it was not a real great emperor, so he could still resist it. Even if it was a great emperor, he would have the sky-devouring jar to fight against it. Therefore, after Lin Xian landed, he looked around frantically. Dragon Xiaotian also went crazy. At this moment, everyone's eyes were burning. However, those who were weak were directly shattered, and they retreated frantically. At this moment, huge rocks rolled down the entire mountain range. Scales appeared. Oh my god, it's really a dragon. At this moment, someone exclaimed. Everyone looked carefully. Sure enough, the rocks on the mountain fell down, and a part really appeared. The metal-like scales were as big as a house. They shone with a cold light, shining in all directions. "This is the senior of the dragon tribe," Dragon Shoutian shouted angrily. "Those who are not from the dragon tribe, get lost." He waved his hand, and thousands of dragons roared, turning into countless crazy attacks in all directions. Countless people were sent flying by this punch, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. "Dragon Shoutian, you've gone too far." "Why?" "I'm Dragon Shoutian. If you're not convinced, come and die." After saying that, Dragon Shoutian punched out with both fists. At this moment, the dragon's shadow circled between heaven and earth. Many strong resistance forces were directly penetrated. As for the others, they were crushed into a mist of blood by the dragon's phantom. Countless people died with a single blow. Dragon Shoutian's strength terrified everyone. "Dragon Shoutian, you're too arrogant." The three princes joined forces and attacked Dragon Shoutian, trying to suppress him. The two sides fought fiercely. Dragon Shoutian was indeed strong. His strength was comparable to Lin Xian. The three princes joined forces, but they could not catch the other party. Instead, they were beaten back continuously. The two sides fought fiercely. The force blasted on the dragon ridge, causing more rocks to fall. Gradually, a dragon's body appeared. Not only that, but at this moment, an even louder dragon roar was heard. Countless mountains shattered, and a dragon's head appeared. Chapter 58:16. That dragon head was really too huge, taller than a mountain. As soon as it appeared, it roared to the sky, its dragon horns like two divine weapons piercing into the sky. This shocking scene shocked countless people. Now, they knew that this dragon ridge was indeed a dragon, and it was a super powerhouse of the dragon clan. Could it be that it's sleeping here and we've disturbed its cultivation? Countless people were terrified. Those of the dragon clan even knelt on the ground. "Greetings, senior." Dragon Shoutian was also extremely shocked. He could feel that the giant dragon in front of him was much more terrifying than him. There was actually such a powerhouse in the dragon clan? It was too shocking. Lin Xian also took a deep breath, and his expression became extremely solemn. A powerhouse of the dragon clan, 100,000 years ago, he had never heard of it before. The mountain-like dragon head appeared and let out a series of roars, creating tens of thousands of black holes in the void. A terrifying sound attracted all directions. Those who were weak had already run away, and those who couldn't run in time died. As for those who were more powerful, they were swaying in the wind and rain. Under this voice, they were swaying. Lin Xian used the power of his divine body to resist, and at the same time, the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation surrounded him. He rose into the air and stood in the void. Did this powerhouse of the dragon clan want to come out? Sure enough, the dragon head roared, and a pair of dragon claws gradually broke out of the ground. Its body moved, and it wanted to leave. But at this time, it wailed, and the sky fell and the earth cracked, and more mountains cracked. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them, stunned. Lin Xian's pupils also shrank. At this time, he saw the giant dragon's body, which was tens of thousands of miles long, fixed to the ground by a sword. That sword was extremely sharp, blooming with a green light, and from far away, it made their hair stand on end. What kind of sword was this? It could actually nail the powerhouse of the dragon clan here? No, how could it be like this? Who was it? The elders of the dragon clan roared crazily. They looked at Dragon Shoutian. "Dragon King, please help." Long Shoutian also stretched out a big hand, like a dragon claw, to grab the cyan long sword, wanting to take it away. However, the green long sword let out a ferocious sound and directly cut the dragon claw into 2 halves. Dragon Shoutian also stepped back a few steps. His face became gloomy and cold. What a terrible sword. Damn it, the one who sealed the experts of our dragon race. Was he captured by the Grand Xia Empire? Dragon Shoutian suddenly turned his head and stared at the 3 princes. The 3 martial monarchs' sons wore unpleasant expressions, as if they were facing a formidable foe. Among them, the 5th prince snorted coldly, "Dragon Shoutian, there are some things that you shouldn't spout nonsense about. Do you think it's just suppression? I would have destroyed your souls long ago. Once those words were spoken, the others all grew silent. Indeed, what kind of people couldn't be killed by a great emperor clan? It wouldn't be used just to suppress him. Could it be someone else? Finally, a clan leader of a remote antiquity family said, "The Dragon's Ridge is terrifying." Before the Grand Xia Empire, the Dragon's Ridge had already existed for too many years. No one knew when it started to appear. Therefore, it shouldn't be done by the Grand Xia Empire. Indeed, the Dragon's Ridge had already existed before the Grand Xia Empire, and it was extremely mysterious. It seemed like it was done by someone else. The ninth prince used his eye technique and looked ahead carefully, as if he wanted to see the sword clearly. At this moment, the sword let out a ferocious sound. The ninth prince quickly closed his eyes, his face pale. "Ninth brother, are you okay?" the seventh prince asked. The ninth prince shook his head. After a while, he said two words with difficulty, "Dragon Slayer." What did that mean? Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian said, "There are two words engraved on the hilt of the sword, Dragon Slayer." He also used his eye of the six paths of reincarnation and discovered this matter. He frowned. Dragon Slayer sword? This name was really arrogant. How would it compare to his immortal slaying sword? Roar. At this moment, the true dragon in front of them started to roar, wanting to break through. However, after a few attempts, it didn't succeed. Instead, it tore the void into pieces. Dragon Xiaotian took a deep breath and prepared to take action. However, after a few attempts, he returned without success. This Dragon Slayer sword was too strange. The three princes didn't take action. They said, "We can only ask our father for help." They looked into the distance. However, there was no need for them to inform them. With their father's strength, he wouldn't know what was happening in the universe. The quasi-emperors all knew that such a shocking change had happened in the Dragon's Ridge. How could their imperial father not know? Did he not take action because the other party was from the Dragon Clan? Those from the Dragon Clan also knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the sky. "Emperor Xia, please take action. The Dragon Clan will be eternally grateful." Dragon Xiaotian's eyes flashed. At this moment, he couldn't stay silent. He said, "Emperor Xia, please take action. I owe your Grand Xia Empire a favor." This was a heavy promise. After all, after Emperor Xia, Dragon Xiaotian was very likely to become the next emperor. If he owed a favor at this time, he probably wouldn't take action against the Grand Xia Empire in the future. In the sky, a sigh came. Then, the imperial aura spread across thousands of miles. Emperor Xia, dressed in his imperial robe, walked out. "Greetings, Emperor Xia." Countless people bowed. Lin Xian, Dragon Xiaotian, and the others also cupped their fists and bowed. The people of the Dragon Clan were excited. Is Emperor Xia going to take action? That's great. When the Emperor takes action, there's nothing he can't do. The true dragon below also raised its head. Its mountain-like head looked at Emperor Xia with a touch of excitement in its eyes. Emperor Xia sighed. He didn't know why he sighed. However, he still said, "I'll try." He reached out a hand and grabbed downward. He was about to grab the Dragon Slayer sword. However, at this moment, the Dragon Slayer sword emitted a sword aura that pierced through heaven and earth. Then, dark clouds gathered in the sky. There were red thunderbolts flashing as if they were about to strike. This was a type of destructive power that caused everyone to feel despair. Even Emperor Xia's pupils shrank. He retracted his palm and confronted the red thunderbolts in the sky. Everyone went crazy. Why do I feel that this thunderbolt can threaten Emperor Xia? The others also shook their heads frantically. This is impossible. The three princes roared. Father is the strongest person in the universe. Who can threaten him? The people of the Dragon Clan were also stunned. This destructive power seemed to be able to kill everything in an instant. Even Dragon Xiaotian was facing a great enemy. He had secretly used several trump cards. He even took out the Immortal Talisman, because this thunderbolt really made him feel fatal. What the hell is this? At this moment, no one dared to take action again. Only the true dragon below let out a wail. It was desperate. The toad jumped over and said, "Boy, it turned out to be this thing. Could it be that they did it? Lin Xian frowned tightly. How could he not recognize this red thunderbolt? This was God's punishment. Chapter 58:17. Heavenly Punishment. The legendary punishment of the heavenly Tao was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian had faced heavenly punishment many times, but he had a way to avoid it. For example, hiding in the sword world, or entering the ancient tomb of a great emperor. This way he could avoid heavenly punishment. So at this moment, Lin Xian frowned. Logically speaking, the power of a great emperor should be able to contend against heavenly punishment. But why? What about the current Emperor Xia, as if he was facing a great enemy? The toad beside him also felt his scalp go numb. This heavenly punishment was much more terrifying than that time, and it felt like it was targeted at the great emperor. Lin Xian took a deep breath. This was the only explanation. Back then, he was only a saint, and the heavenly punishment against him and the heavenly punishment against the great emperor. How could the power be the same? Could it be that the current heavenly punishment was attracted by Emperor Xia? Why? Emperor Xia was not someone who had been abandoned by immortals. Was it because of the dragon-slaying sword? Lin Xian instantly understood. This dragon-slaying sword was cut down by the people of the other side. So whoever dared to touch the dragon-slaying sword would be going against Bai and had the complete heavenly punishment sword. Once heavenly punishment came out, even the great emperor would have to retreat. Emperor Xia looked at this scene, shook his head and sighed. He looked down and said to the true dragon, "Sorry, your enemy is too powerful. I can't do anything." "What? Can't do anything?" everyone exclaimed. The people of the dragon clan were in despair, and even Long Xiaotian was shocked. There was something the great emperor couldn't do? He felt that it was too unbelievable. This was impossible? The people of the dragon clan exclaimed, "You are a high and mighty existence, the master of the universe. How could you be powerless?" However, Emperor Xia said, "If I take the sword by force, the heavenly punishment in the sky will descend. I'm afraid that not only me, but the entire true spirit world will be turned into ashes." It was even possible that the entire universe would enter the end of the world. The people of the Dragon Clan were dumbfounded. They knew that Emperor Xia was right, because the message from above made their hair stand on end. Obviously, it was a power that was not weaker than the great emperors. If this power came down, no one would be able to survive. This is the will of the heavens. I can't do anything. Sorry. The Xia Emperor shook his head again and turned to leave. As the ground below disappeared, the heavenly punishment in the sky also slowly disappeared. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Many of them felt as if they had just returned from the gates of hell. It was too terrifying. The suppressed true dragon let out a wail of anguish. His eyes were filled with despair. He had been pinned here for many years. I can't accept this. A deep voice was heard. His body emitted an extremely terrifying power. He wanted to fight to the death. As soon as this power appeared, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Countless people were shocked once again. Even Long Xiaotian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Why does it feel like this power is close to that of Emperor Xia? Could it be that it was suppressing an emperor of the dragon tribe? That was impossible. The great emperors of the dragon clan had never been suppressed before. The dragon clan was a powerful clan that had existed since ancient times. There had been great emperors before, and Long Xiaotian was not the first. However, based on the records of the dragon race, there was indeed no one who dared to suppress a dragon emperor. But why did this dragon have such power now? The others were also in despair. Even with such power, they were suppressed. No wonder the Xia Emperor didn't dare to make a move. It seemed that no one in the world could save him. The toad said, "Kid, let's go. This place is too strange. Don't forget, your identity is special. Don't be targeted by the people of the other side." Lin Xian shook his head. "No, I can't go. I have to save him." "What did you say?" The toad exclaimed, "Are you crazy? Even the Xia Emperor has left. If you make a move now, aren't you courting death?" Lin Xian shook his head. "I must save him, not because he is just a dragon." "Then why? If you want the power of the dragon vein, we can go somewhere else." Lin Xian said, No, because he is the Tin Crown King. Tin Crown King? The toad was stunned after hearing this. It looked at the suppressed dragon and sucked in a breath of cold air. No wonder. No wonder his power was close to that of a great emperor. He was actually a Tin Crown King. Lin Xian was silent. He hadn't guessed it before, but the words "I'm unwilling" made Lin Xian think of a scene. It was in the 4th level of hell. The 10,000 Rock King had been suppressed. At that time, he had let out an unwilling roar. The scene at that time was very similar to the one in front of him. In addition, this dragon had the power of a great emperor. Therefore, Lin Xian guessed that he was the Tin Crown King, and he was suppressed by the other side. There was no need to think. He should be like the 10,000 Rock King, unwilling to submit to the other side. Therefore, he was suppressed and not killed, not because he couldn't be killed, but because he was punished. The Tin Crown King was so earth-shattering. No one had appeared in tens of thousands of years. Weren't you proud? Then I will let you live in despair forever. This is the punishment of the other side. If Lin Xian was just a spectator, he could ignore him. He could feel pity, but he couldn't. He had to make a move, because Lin Xian's enemy was also the other side. Lin Xian definitely couldn't watch the other side treat the Tin Crown King like this. Therefore, when everyone was retreating, he stepped forward. What was going on? Everyone wanted to leave. But when they saw Lin Xian walk out, they went crazy. What was this kid trying to do? Was he going to make a move? Some of the people from the clan of the ancients shook their heads. What kind of joke was this? Even Emperor Xia left. Who did this kid think he was? The 3 martial monarch sons were stunned too. Their faces were filled with astonishment. However, they didn't say anything. Instead, they retreated far away. They left. Previously, their father had warned them not to get close to the Dragon's Ridge to avoid any karma. Therefore, they retreated far away to watch the battle. The 5th prince said, "This kid doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The 9th prince also sighed, "I guess he won't make a move." The people of the 10,000 Dragon tribe also looked at Lin Xian. Previously, when they looked at Lin Xian, they were full of killing intent. But now, the killing intent was gone. They had a trace of doubt and expectation. Is the other party really going to make a move? What do you want to do? Dragon Xiaotian also frowned. Lin Xian said, "You call yourself the Dragon King, but you are not satisfied. Shouldn't you do something?" Dragon Xiaotian shook his head. "Kid, you are not qualified to teach me a lesson. Do you think I don't want to?" But Emperor Xia has left. Even the great emperor can't compete with this power. How can I do it? Don't you even have the courage? How did you become the great emperor? What did you say? Dragon Xiaotian was angry. Was he a coward? What kind of joke was this? He had made a move before, but he returned without success. Kid, do you think you can do it? Don't think you are brave. You might just be sending yourself to death. Dragon Xiaotian, I don't like you. I even want to kill you. But now, do you dare to cooperate with me? Long Yu said, "Brother Tian, be careful of his tricks. He won't be so kind." Lin Xian glanced at Long Yu and shook his head slightly. "Stupid woman. No wonder you can't become the great emperor. If it weren't for Dragon Xiaotian, someone like you would have died 100 times. You." Long Yu trembled with anger. Lin Xian ignored her and looked at Dragon Xiaotian. "How about it? Do you dare to cooperate with me once?" Chapter 58:18. Are you confident? Long Xiaotian thought for a moment and asked in a deep voice. As the leader of the dragon clan, if he didn't save this giant dragon now, who would believe him? Therefore, if there was a way, he had to make a move. Although the kid in front of him was hateful and was his enemy, he had no choice but to join forces now. There was only one goal, and that was to send the dragon-slaying sword flying. If he had any trump cards, he would use them all. If he kept them now, there would be no chance in the future. After saying that, Lin Xian took a deep breath. A black vortex appeared on his body, and he walked forward. As soon as the power of this vortex appeared, it swallowed the sky and the earth, and the surrounding terrifying light was swallowed up. After the people of the dragon clan felt it, their scalps went numb. The others' pupils shrank. This was the power of the extreme Tao. Heavens, he had a great emperor's weapon in his hand. It was too unbelievable. Long Yu and the others' faces also became incomparably ugly. Was this the other party's real trump card? Even Long Xiaotian took a deep breath. In the next moment, he took out the Death God lamp. This was also an extremely terrifying weapon, and it could even compete with an extreme Tao weapon. Therefore, after taking it out, his body was surrounded by a strong sense of loss. The two of them walked toward the dragon-slaying sword together. Heavens, they had really joined forces. A dragon king and a dragon god. Both of them had the talent of a great emperor. At this moment, the two of them joined forces. How terrifying was it? Many people exclaimed. However, there were also elders who shook their heads. It was useless. No matter how strong the two of them were, could they be stronger than Emperor Xia? If Emperor Xia wanted to kill them, it would be very easy. However, even Emperor Xia didn't dare to make a move. This showed that the origin of the dragon-slaying sword was shocking. It would be very difficult for these two young people to succeed. It was even possible that they would bring disaster to themselves. The dragon-slaying sword in front of them bloomed with a terrifying light. The biting cold sword chi made people tremble in fear. They seemed to feel that someone was coming. The dragon-slaying sword suddenly burst out, and a sword cry rang out. Endless sword chi swept in all directions. The mountains and rivers were all pierced through. After some people were pierced, they screamed in horror. The other people also stepped back one after another. It was too terrifying. Just a single strand of sword chi was invincible. Lin Xian and Long Xiaotian were the first to bear the brunt. Lin Xian unleashed his devouring vortex and used the power of the heaven-devouring jar to block the attack. Long Xiaotian is using the Death God lamp. There is the aura of the Death God above, surrounded by it. Just like that, the two of them approached the dragon-slaying sword step by step with powerful weapons in hand. Did he block it? People in the distance exclaimed. Did these two fellows want to get involved in karma? There were others who shook their heads. Even Emperor Xia had avoided karma. Who would dare to provoke these two people? In front of them, the suppressed dragon raised its head and looked at Lin Xian and Dragon Xiaotian. The two of them seemed to have sensed their auras, and it let out a roar. It seemed to be reminding the two of them to retreat. After all, in its eyes, the two of them were rising stars of the dragon clan. It did not wish for the two of them to die here. Lin Xian said, "Senior, don't worry about us. We have the ability to protect ourselves. This time, we will save you. The other side can't suppress you." Dragon Xiaotian's face was cold. He did not say anything, but he used the Death God lamp even more horrifying. The dragon roared to the sky as if it saw a glimmer of hope. Its body rolled violently, as if it also wanted to fight against the dragon-slaying sword. The dragon-slaying sword was enraged and burst out with an unparalleled brilliance. A terrifying force swept in all directions. The sword chi cut through heaven and earth. Lin Xian and Long Xiaotian were beaten until their blood was boiling. Even if they were holding super powerful weapons, they were beaten back at this moment and could not move forward. One could imagine how terrifying this dragon-slaying sword was. Damn it, no, boy. Do you have any other way? Long Xiaotian gritted his teeth. Lin Xian said, "No, it has to work." In the next moment, he summoned the dragon sword spirit, and a shocking sword chi also emerged from his body, piercing through heaven and earth. This sharp aura stunned everyone. They looked up at the sky. God, that dragon god, the sword chi on his body, is so terrifying. Why do I feel that the sharp aura can fight with the dragon-slaying sword? God, is this the dragon god or the sword god? Dragon Xiaotian felt this sharp aura. He also gritted his teeth, and his eyes were full of envy. Dragon sword spirit? This was the strongest offensive saint technique of the dragon clan, or even in the universe, but it was obtained by the other party. Why? It was not him. He was extremely jealous. Even the dragon that was being suppressed had a look of surprise on its face. It looked at Lin Xian and let out a series of roars. Obviously, it did not expect that Lin Xian would have such an offensive saint technique. Lin Xian used the dragon sword spirit and the swallowing sky jar. His momentum reached the extreme. At this time, He looked at Dragon Shoutian and said in a deep voice, I have an idea, but I don't know if you dare? What's there to be afraid of? Dragon Shoutian snorted coldly. Would he be weaker than the other party? Lin Xian said, to be exact, it's whether you are willing to give it up. I know you gave the dragon spirit a mortal talisman, and I think you should have one on you. Later, I will use all my strength to attract the power of the dragon-slaying sword, and you take the opportunity to pull it out. Of course, this process is very dangerous, and you may even lose your life. However, you have the immortal talisman, so you can avoid a fatal attack. Are you willing to give it up? Dragon Shoutian was silent when he heard this. To be honest, he did have the immortal talisman, but he only had one in his hand. This was a life-saving thing. Should he use it now? Dragon Shoutian hesitated, but soon he clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. What's there to be reluctant about? He is a strong member of the Dragon Clan, and I have the responsibility to save him. Dragon Shoutian's eyes burst with infinite confidence. After Lin Xian finished reading, he smiled, as expected of the person who will become the great emperor in the future. Merely this sort of courage, this sort of willingness, was not something that an ordinary person could accomplish. If it were other quasi-emperors, would they be willing? Would Dragon Spirit be willing? These people would definitely not be willing. However, Dragon Shoutian was willing. There was indeed a reason why the other party became the great emperor. Well, since this was the case, there was no time to lose. Let's do it. Lin Xian took the initiative to attack, and the whole world was shaking. The dragon-shaped sword aura unleashed by Lin Xian roared as it headed straight for the dragon-slaying sword. The dragon-slaying sword seemed to be enraged, and a biting cold sword chi seemed to be about to break through the sky. A huge sword light slashed forward. Two sharp sword chi collided between heaven and earth, making a roaring sound. At this moment, it was as if the world was about to be destroyed. In the entire true spirit world, countless creatures were all prostrating on the ground. There was no one left in this area. And in the Great Xia dynasty, Emperor Xia stood in the sky with his hands behind his back, looking at the scene of the battle in the distance. There was also a moment of silence. It had to be said that these two little guys were more courageous than him. However, he had already become the emperor, and also had to protect the Great Xia dynasty. The burden was too heavy. There were too many scruples. Therefore, he could not give it his all. He hoped that these two little guys could succeed. Thinking of this, Emperor Xiao waved his hand, and the spirit veins of the entire true spirit world quickly gathered toward the Dragon Ridge. He wanted to secretly provide power to Lin Xian and the others. Chapter 58:19. I can only do this much. The rest is up to you. Emperor Xia sighed. At the Dragon's Ridge, Lin Xian was also stunned. He also felt a huge force rising into the air from under his feet. What a strong spiritual force. Someone was secretly helping him. Who was he? No matter how he thought about it, the only one who had the ability to do so was Emperor Xia. It seemed that the other party had secretly helped. With this power, after the dragon's sword soul absorbed it, its power became even more majestic. It seemed to have turned into a divine dragon, quickly slashing forward and fighting with the dragon-slaying sword. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Endless thunder erupted between heaven and earth. The other quasi-emperors didn't dare to approach this power. They couldn't even see it clearly. The giant dragon roared incomparably. It was also resisting. The dragon-slaying sword seemed to be affected, and its body began to move. At this moment, Dragon Shoutian rushed over. He drove the space chariot and quickly arrived near the dragon-slaying sword. In the next moment, he grabbed the dragon-slaying sword. His dragon claws seemed to have turned into the hands of the universe. Good opportunity. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He had to admit that Dragon Shoutian was indeed strong. This timing was too good. Dragon Shoutian took a deep breath and grabbed the dragon-slaying sword. Get lost. He roared angrily and pulled out the dragon-slaying sword. The dragon-slaying sword left the ground and flew into the sky. As for the giant dragon, it roared towards the sky. It let out a series of roars. Its huge body also rose into the sky. That's great. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He had saved the other party. Dragon Xiaotian also smiled. In the distance, Emperor Xia was even more surprised. Did he really do it? It was too unbelievable. However, at this moment, the red lightning appeared in the sky again. This was the heavenly punishment. The dragon-slaying sword danced in the sky, attracting the heavenly punishment. With the heavenly divine thunder, a cold voice sounded. The dragon-slaying sword slashed down with red lightning, turning into a destructive storm that fell fiercely. Dark clouds covered the sky, heavy rain poured, and lightning tore through the sky. At this moment, the entire universe was alarmed. Countless powerhouses looked at the true spirit world. What was happening there? Someone was going to transcend the tribulation. Was someone going to become an emperor? This strange phenomenon was too terrifying. Not good, Brother Tian. In the distance, Long Yu and the other members of the dragon clan roared madly. However, they didn't dare to approach at all and could only retreat endlessly. Emperor Xia even took action and sealed the place where the dragon's ridge was. Otherwise, it would affect the entire world. Dragon Xiaoyan's pupils shrank. He drove the space war chariot and kept shuttling back and forth. The power of space was exerted to the extreme. However, it was useless. Those spatial tunnels were all pierced through. One of the sword chi struck the space war chariot and sent it flying. Dragon Xiaotian was also vomiting blood. A crack appeared on his body. Damn it. Everyone had to rely on their own ability to escape. Long Xiaotian used the immortal talisman at the critical moment. That was because an even more terrifying destructive sword aura was slashing down. This sword covered Long Xiaotian, Lin Xian, and the giant dragon. This power is too strong. Long Xiaotian has the death god lamp, can't block it. Therefore, he decisively activated the immortal talisman. Lin Xian also sighed. The devouring vortex was pierced through. His body was also pierced through. Blood dyed his body red. He roared to the sky and struck out a terrifying sword chi, destroying the surrounding lightning. However, it was useless. This sword seemed to contain too much power. It was not something he could resist at his current level. Originally, he had an extreme weapon in the great dragon sword spirit. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. Senior, come here. He flew towards the giant dragon, wanting to take it away. He had the sword world. If he brought the giant dragon into the sword world, he might be able to escape this calamity. However, it was still too late. The dragon-slaying sword turned into a killing blade and slashed fiercely at the giant dragon. The dragon's head flew up and was split in half. His body was rapidly disintegrating into dust and ashes. No! Lin Xian roared angrily. His eyes were red as he rushed over crazily. His body suffered even more impact, and cracks were all over it. It made one's scalp tingle just by looking at it. Lin Xian spat out a large mouthful of blood. However, he still did not give up. He quickly took out the heaven-swallowing jar and slammed it over, devouring some of the lightning. However, it was useless. It's useless, young man. I can't take it anymore. He's too strong. He has already become an immortal. We are no match for him. Obviously, the owner of the dragon-slaying sword was a supreme powerhouse with a great background. It was terrifying to the extreme. Lin Xian thought of the virtual immortal who sealed the 10,000 Rock King. He wondered if it was the other parties doing this time. How terrifying was this virtual immortal? He did not know. However, he could no longer hold on and could only hide in the sword world. On the other side, Dragon Xiaotian used the immortal talisman to dodge this attack. However, the giant dragon had already turned into ashes. Before he died, he let out a roar. Young people, no matter who you are in the future, you will lead the dragon race. Remember, the dragon race will never surrender. This voice was filled with compassion and despair. Lin Xian's eyes were red, and Dragon Xiaoyan's face was cold. As for the people of the dragon race in the distance, they knelt on the ground and cried bitterly. They knew that the giant dragon was dead. The giant dragon laughed. Don't be sad for me. I've been sealed for too many years. Now, I'm finally free. I'll be reincarnated. Before that, I'll give you two little guys one last good fortune. His last body broke open, and a powerful dragon fighting force surged out, enveloping Lin Xian and Dragon Xiaotian. The destructive lightning completely erupted. The giant dragon turned into ashes. Dragon Xiaotian relied on the immortal talisman to escape with his life. He fled into the distance. However, at this moment, his entire body was enveloped by a huge force of dragon Dao. That terrifying aura made everyone feel envious. On the other side, Lin Xian did not seem to have escaped. He was completely covered by the destructive lightning. Could it be that he was dead? Countless people looked at the thousands of black holes in front of them, their faces full of shock. Even Xia Huang's pupils constricted. No way. Could it be that the kid has no trump card and escaped? Brother Tian, Long Yu and the others were overjoyed. They ignored Lin Xian and looked at Dragon Xiaotian. Was Brother Tian going to break through? Dragon Xiaotian was originally the Seven Crown King. After absorbing a huge amount of power, he actually began to break through quickly. Of course, he did not dare to stay in the Dragon Ridge area. He went to another place. The space chariot took him and quickly left. He reached the depths of the universe. If Brother Tian broke through again, he would be the 8 Crown King. His strength would be much more terrifying than now. Great. Long Yu was overjoyed. However, some people of the dragon race had serious expressions. They were not too happy. Because they looked ahead. Lin Xian had not come out yet. Although they had been enemies with Lin Xian before, Lin Xian had dared to risk his life to save the giant dragon. This moved them greatly. Therefore, they did not want anything to happen to Lin Xian. Long Qing's beautiful eyes flashed. Her small hands tightly gripped the corner of her clothes. Dragon God, I hope you can return safely. Chapter 58:20. Lin Xian was enveloped by the power of the Dragon Dao. The moment before the divine punishment hit him, he entered the Sword World. The Sword World was incomparably magical. It was an ancient land, so it could definitely protect his safety. As expected, the power of the divine punishment disappeared after entering the Sword World. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. In the next instant, he quickly absorbed the power of the ancient Dragon Dao. He said, Senior Dragon, don't worry. I will help you take revenge. I will help you kill your enemies. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. He felt sad for the dragon. Because the other party was the 10 Crown King, he should have laughed proudly and swept through the world. He should have even become a great emperor. However, he was suppressed by someone. Moreover, there was someone on the other side who seemed to like suppressing the 10 Crown King. One day, when Lin Xian became the 10 Crown King, would that person also make a move to suppress him? Therefore, no matter what, Lin Xian would not give in. Lin Xian quickly absorbed the power. He was now the 7 Crown King. If he broke through again, he would be the 8 Crown King. To be able to break through in the ancient land was a pleasant surprise for Lin Xian. Just like that, a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this month, there were all kinds of legends. It was about the Dragon God and Dragon King of the Dragon Ridge, the 2 geniuses of the dragon race, who went to save the ancient dragon. However, they failed in the end. Although they failed, such a feat was praiseworthy. At the same time, there was news that Dragon Xiaotian had successfully transcended the tribulation in the universe and become the 8 Crown King. He was even stronger and closer to the great emperor realm. This made Long Yu and the others happy. The dragon race also cheered. At the same time, the dragon race was also looking for the dragon god situation. They owed him a favor. However, for a month, the Dragon Ridge was filled with a destructive aura, but no one walked out. This made many people sigh. The dragon god was already dead. He died in the divine punishment. When this news spread, everyone shook their heads. They did not expect the dragon god to end up like this. It was a pity. If he was still alive, he could compete with Dragon Xiaotian in the future. He might even become a great emperor in the future. That's right. It wasn't easy for such a top-notch genius to appear. To think that he would fall just like that. What a pity. Even the Xia Emperor was frowning. He had tried to divine a few times, but the heavenly workings of Lin Xian were mysterious to begin with. He couldn't deduce anything. The Toad and the Crimson Dragon were even crazier. The 2 of them were extremely worried. He couldn't have really died, right? That shouldn't be possible. That brat has so many trump cards. I'm guessing that he's breaking through inside. After all, he has the power of the dragon. Just wait. The Crimson Dragon and the Toad had been waiting near the dragon's ridge. Sure enough, after a while, a sword light flew out from the dragon's ridge and split open the void. Then, Lin Xian walked out. Kid, you really didn't die. The Crimson Dragon walked out. The Toad also jumped over and said, How is it? Kid, are you all right? Lin Xian nodded. Don't worry, I won't die. Besides, I've broken through. The power he used was the aura of the Eight-Crowned King. The Toad and the Crimson Dragon sucked in a breath of cold air. What a strong aura. You really broke through. The Crimson Dragon was very happy. This time, it didn't come 100,000 years ago in vain. By the way, you and Dragon Xiaotian are still at the same level. He also broke through. After Lin Xian heard this, he wasn't surprised. Dragon Xiaotian was destined to become a great emperor. His talent was definitely top-notch. In addition, the other party had also absorbed the power of the dragon before. It would be a problem if he didn't break through. He nodded and said, This person is very powerful. He was willing to use an immortal talisman. It was really surprising. The Toad also muttered, as expected of someone who can become a great emperor, Be careful. Although they worked together once before, they were destined to be enemies. Next, if they were to work together with half a frog, there would probably be a fierce battle. By the way, that dragon-slaying sword? The Crimson Dragon asked. Lin Xian said, It left. That thing was too terrifying. Even the swallowing heaven jar couldn't suppress it. So now, we can't have any ideas about him. It's best to leave. Otherwise, after a while, the other side will descend. If it cooperates with this dragon-slaying sword, it will be even more dangerous. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and left with the two of them. They came to another place where there was no one. Lin Xian had felt that someone was investigating, so he left the vicinity of the Dragon Ridge, which was the center of the storm. When he came to the place where there was no one, Lin Xian asked, By the way, how is the collection of the dragon veins? The Crimson Dragon said, 9,999 top-grade dragon veins have been collected, and I will continue to let them do it. After all, we still have to store some for 100,000 years later. Lin Xian said, Since it's done, let's start preparing. I hope the immortal slaying formation won't disappoint me. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon began the final arrangements. It wouldn't be long before the people of the other side arrived. Even half a frog would jump out. The immortal slaying formation was too terrifying. If it was set up in the true spirit world, it would definitely be discovered. At least Emperor Xia would find out. It was even possible. Half a frog would also sense it. Therefore, Lin Xian prepared to set up the tremor technique in the sword world. He would take it out at the critical moment. He brought the Crimson Dragon and the Toad in. After entering, the two of them sighed with emotion. This place was truly incomparably magical. In the future, if you have nothing to do, you can come here to dig for treasures. There are many treasures buried in this land. Damn, kid, you have no conscience. You want us to be coolies. The Toad looked down on him. Xiaobai jumped over and said, Stupid Toad, look at my gourd. Xiaobai dug out his green gourd from the ground. At this moment, the green gourd was extremely mysterious as it aimed at the Toad. The Toad's hair stood on end. Lin Xian laughed and said, If you don't want to, then forget it. Do you know the universe ring? It was dug out from here. The Toad's saliva flowed out. The Crimson Dragon was also glowing. He took out the pagoda from before and said, This was something he had snatched from Long Yu. Should he bury it? Lin Xian said, Don't put trash in it. Why don't you dig and see what good things are inside? Damn, you actually said this is trash. The Crimson Dragon rolled its eyes. Lin Xian laughed and said, All right, if there's a chance in the future, we'll come in to look for treasures. Now, let's hurry up and set up the Immortal Slaying Array. They had been busy. The Immortal Slaying Array was extremely difficult because it required 4 swords. Lin Xian now only had 1 battle sword, the Immortal Slaying Sword. The rest had to be replaced by 9,999 supreme grade dragon veins. Fortunately, Lin Xian could still use the power of the great dragon sword spirit. Therefore, there was no need to doubt its power. On this day, many meteors streaked across the universe. The meteor shower that streaked across the sky was extremely spectacular and gorgeous. Countless cultivators looked up at the sky. So beautiful. Quickly make a wish. Many people put their hands together and closed their eyes, making beautiful wishes. But they didn't know that this meteor shower was the arrival of an extremely terrifying expert. A storm was about to blow in the universe. Chapter 58:21. Somewhere in the true spirit world, there was a mysterious place with a strange aura. Even a quasi-emperor didn't dare to come here, because this was where the half-frog landed. Inside the cave, the mysterious chains of the demonic palace locked the half-frog. At this moment, the half-frog squatted there. Its tall body didn't move at all, as if it had existed since ancient times. Behind it, the demonic palace emitted a monstrous demonic chi. The half-frog closed its eyes as if sleeping. Suddenly, it opened its eyes because it sensed that someone was coming. Outside Shandong, a young figure walked in. "You're here," the half-frog said. Dragon Xiaotian walked in, nodded, and said, "I'm here. Have the people you summoned arrived?" The half-frog looked up at the sky and said, "Soon. I can feel their aura. They will come soon." A few days later, on the nearby stars, a few meteors descended. After these meteors opened up, people walked out one after another. The people who had come before were all young, and the one leading them was a young woman. Her golden hair danced in the wind like flames. After she arrived, she formed a seal with her palms and said, "Hide your information and follow me." There were 6 people in total. These 6 people flew into the sky and descended toward the true spirit world. Soon, they arrived at the true spirit world and quickly flew toward the east. During this time, they met a few strong cultivators from the sacred ground sections. They saw that the blonde woman was beautiful and wanted to strike up a conversation with her. However, they were slapped away by the blonde woman. "How dare you attack us? Do you know who we are?" These people's auras were extremely terrifying. In fact, 2 of them were great sages, and the terrifying power they wielded made them even more confident than before. These 2 were the people who had broken through on the great peak of the Eastern Barren Territory. "Be obedient and come over to me. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground." The 2 supreme saints sneered. The golden-haired woman coldly snorted. Her body flashed and she walked over like a golden bolt of lightning. The next moment, she waved her hand and left with her people, leaving the 2 supreme saints there. The next moment, their bodies split open and they fell to the ground, dead. She killed a supreme saint with one move. It was obvious that these people were extremely powerful. Damn it. In an ancient cave dwelling in the 4 symbols holy grounds, an old man opened his eyes. He was a quasi-emperor. He felt that the auras of his 2 disciples had disappeared. They must have been killed. His 2 disciples had already become great sages. How terrifying was that? Their talent was unparalleled. In the future, he might even become a quasi-emperor. But now, he had actually fallen. He could not accept this. In the next moment, he tore the space apart and charged toward the golden-haired woman. The arrival of a quasi-emperor would be extremely powerful. Furthermore, the 4 symbols holy lands cultivated the physique. Therefore, a single punch could create a vast world. The golden-haired woman sneered. "You're courting death." A golden flying knife appeared in her hand. There was an extremely frightening golden radiance flickering on it. The flying dagger flew out, streaking across the sky and piercing through the quasi-emperor's forehead. That quasi-emperor's eyes widened. Until his death, he refused to believe that he would be killed by a woman. "Let's go." The golden-haired woman led the group forward. Before long, they arrived in front of a mysterious cave. After entering, the blonde woman knelt down on one knee and said, "Greetings, my lord. You're finally here." In front, the half-frog was extremely excited. However, he soon frowned. "Why are you the only ones here? Are there no great emperors?" "Yes, there is. This time, there is a great emperor, 3 9 crown kings, and some other quasi-emperors. We are the vanguard, the blonde woman said respectfully. She was one of the 9 crown kings. A great emperor? That was enough. The half-frog nodded. Although there was only one of them, a great emperor was an existence that could destroy the universe. A great emperor was enough to break open this demonic palace. He wondered which great monarch it was. The half-frog was also puzzled. After all, this was 100,000 years ago. Next, the half-frog prepared and waited patiently. However, the golden-haired woman said, "My lord, now is not the time to descend. We have spent a lot of effort to come here. So this time, we have to bring some things back." Understood. Go. The half-frog nodded. In the Zero world, there were many mysterious places that even he could not see through. This time, he had finally descended. Thinking about it, Bion would definitely not let go of this opportunity to obtain some things. The golden-haired woman left 2 people here to be the half-frog subordinates. As for the other 4 people, they soared into the sky and flew toward the central continent. This time, in addition to saving the half-frog, the golden-haired woman also had another mission, which was to investigate the Yuhua immortal dynasty. If possible, she could destroy the Yuhua immortal dynasty and bring back some treasures of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. In fact, not only her, even the great emperor who was about to descend had such a mission. When they arrived at Zhongzhou, the golden-haired woman took out a beautiful 8 trigrams mirror and began to investigate. On the 8 trigrams mirror, there was a needle that kept spinning. Found it. Let's go. They found the location of the Yuhua immortal dynasty and then quickly moved. When they arrived at the land where the Yuhua immortal dynasty was located, this was a vast mountain. The Yuhua immortal dynasty had once created a legend. It was too terrifying, but in the end, it still declined. It was said that it had sunk into the ground. 100,000 years later, Lin Xian even went to the Yuhua immortal dynasty. It was from Zhongzhou that he entered through a huge crack. Unexpectedly, the Yuhua immortal dynasty had already disappeared 100,000 years ago. Let's do it. The golden-haired woman's eyes burst out with a trace of piercing cold light. Her golden hair danced rapidly as she formed a seal with her palms. 9 golden flying sabers appeared around her, emitting a blinding glow as they slashed at the cultivators below the martial monarch realm. The other 3 people also took action. In their hands, they held 3 beads. On each bead, there was a mysterious rune flickering on it. Obviously, these were secret treasures. These people all came with treasures. On the 3 beads, terrifying light also shone on the ground. The entire ground shook violently. At the same time, the golden-haired woman waved her sleeve, and an array formation appeared, covering heaven and earth, preventing others from investigating. Soon, the surrounding beasts and powerhouses all turned their heads to look. But not long after, they turned their heads back. Was it an illusion just now? Why do I feel like someone is attacking? Nothing happened. These people were very puzzled. Of course, they couldn't hide it from everyone. At least, Emperor Xia definitely knew. However, Emperor Xia wasn't in the mood to care about these little ants. It was just King Nine Crown. He didn't care about him. Now, he was preparing for something as if he was facing a great enemy, because he felt that there was a powerful force in the universe getting closer and closer. That was the power of a great emperor. It was a power that surpassed everything. Chapter 58:22. Lin Xian was not idle either. He knew that a terrifying expert from the deity ground had arrived. He was setting up a formation. At the same time, a group of people surrounded him. They were all from the demon race, including the Skyfiend clan, the demon sect, and the Earth Demon sect. They were led by the 3 clan leaders to Lin Xian. They said, "Young master, we have collected the supreme grade dragon vein for you. Can you teach us the superpower now?" There was a hint of passion in their eyes.
Yes.
Lin Xian nodded. Then, he gave the demon god seal to them. These people acted as if they had received a treasure. However, the superpower of the great emperor was really too difficult to cultivate. There were many things they did not understand, so they could only ask Lin Xian. "You didn't strike at the right time. Also, The speed of your demon chi is too slow. Double it. No, this is the time to use it. Lin Xian was in a rare good mood, so he taught these to the demon race. The demon race experts all widened their eyes. They cultivated according to Lin Xian's method. They found that their cultivation was indeed much faster. Previously, some of the older generation experts were still unconvinced. Could it be that this kid had more experience than them? But now, they were completely subdued. Even the grand elders and patriarchs had to be respectful in front of Lin Xian. This caused the others to be astonished. The reason for that was because those people were all experts capable of sweeping through an entire region. But now, they were so respectful to a young man. It was really unbelievable. Of course, this showed that Lin Xian was stronger. On the demon race's side, many young and beautiful women looked at Lin Xian with sparkling eyes. They were even very attentive to Lin Xian. If they could follow such a person, their future achievements would be limitless. These demon sect women were beautiful, but they could not enter Lin Xian's eyes. In this regard, the demon sect women could only sigh. What kind of woman is she? Only she is qualified to stand by his side. After teaching the demon sect people the superpower, Lin Xian moved again. He went to check on the immortal execution formation and helped the Crimson Dragon move together. The immortal execution formation was not completed yet. However, that terrifying aura had already begun to spread. Fortunately, it was set up in the sword world. Otherwise, the others would have discovered it immediately. Even the half-frog might have to make a move in advance. But now, everything was fine. On this day, the demon sect leader reported a piece of news. Reporting to young Master Lin, things are not good. There is news from Central Continent that a rare treasure has appeared. What's going on? Lin Xian frowned. He had been in this world all this time, so he did not pay much attention to the situation outside. What was the situation in Zhongzhou? Could it be the Great Xia dynasty? The demon sect leader of the demon sect. He said, "No, it's from another place. It's said that the light is coming from beneath the earth. It's extremely terrifying." It had already shocked the entire world. However, that light soon disappeared. It was obvious that someone had used a formation to hide it. Now, many people had already gone to investigate. We don't know what to do. Therefore, they asked the young master. These demons were now completely subservient to Lin Xian and respected Lin Xian. Even the three sect leaders had to ask for Lin Xian's opinion. After Lin Xian heard this, he narrowed his eyes. He used Rinnegan and looked at the central continent. In the sky above the central continent, an illusory eye appeared. It caused the souls of those people in the central continent to tremble. What a terrifying eye! This was Lin Xian's eye of the heavenly Tao. He was investigating the situation in the central continent. This place was under Lin Xian's powerful eye technique. He finally found the problem. Moreover, the location of that place shocked Lin Xian. This was not an ordinary place. Don't look at this place. It was desolate now. However, Lin Xian came from 100,000 years in the future. He knew that the earth in this place had cracked, and there was an extremely incredible existence below. Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. That was even more terrifying than the Empire of Great Buildings. Back then, the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty was full of powerhouses. The strongest powerhouses, sovereigns, were extremely terrifying among the great emperors. In addition, there were many quasi-emperors. Back then, they wanted to ascend to immortality together. In the end, they failed. They didn't expect that someone was actually targeting the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty now. Who was it? Was it the Great Xia Dynasty? Lin Xian didn't know. He was very busy now and didn't have the time to go and take a look. Therefore, he asked the people of the demon sect to go. Go and investigate. Come back and report to me. After the people of the demon sect heard this, they were overjoyed. Yes, young master, we will definitely complete the mission. The people of the demon sect quickly rose into the sky and headed to the central continent. Because Lin Xian gave them the location, the demon sect acted faster than the other families and sects, and they soon found it. When they came to the surroundings, they indeed saw the array formation. This is the place. Let's do it. These people of the demon sect had just cultivated, so they had no chance. Although they hadn't mastered it yet, The power of the great emperor's supernatural power was already terrifying. He struck so hard that the formation started to shake. Inside the array formation, the people in the deity ground frowned. Someone saw their array formation. Who was it? Was it the great emperor? One of the people's face became extremely ugly. The woman leading the group said, "Impossible. If the great emperor makes a move, not to mention the array formation, we will all be turned into ashes." Now, the array formation is just shaking. It seems that someone accidentally encountered our array formation. Ignore it. As soon as she finished speaking, the array formation shook again. It doesn't seem to be an accident. Send someone out to solve it. Hearing this, a middle-aged man among them walked out. After he came out, he found that there were many people. These people had monstrous demonic auras and were very terrifying. However, in his eyes, they were disdainful. The middle-aged man who came out was called Sikongshan. He was a member of the Sikong family under Bayan. Because of his strength and talent, he was valued by Bayan. Therefore, he was here to carry out the mission. As far as he was concerned, these devil race people were just ants. He said coldly, "Kneel down and accept your death. I'll give you a quick death." "Who are you?" The leader of the demon sect was also an expert. His name was Emo Xiao. When he saw someone come out, he was very vigilant. "It seems that you guys are behind this. Come back with me obediently and wait for the young master to deal with you. You're courting death." Sikongshan was angry. A trace of piercing cold light burst out of his eyes. Then, a huge hand came slapping over like an ancient mountain. On the other side, Emo Xiao roared, "Suppress him and bring him back." This time, the demon sect had brought 36 experts. These experts were all elites of the demon sect. When they attacked, they covered the sky and covered the earth. However, the moment they exchanged blows with the other party, the people from the demon sect screamed in agony. Their bodies quickly turned into pieces. No, how could they be so powerful? Emo Xiao was also very frightened. His body was torn apart in an instant. His soul was terrified and wanted to flee. Chapter 58:23. He knew that Emo Xiao was too strong. Emo Xiao was already a quasi-emperor. He thought that he would succeed this time. However, things had gone beyond his expectations. Emo Xiao was able to severely injure him with a single palm strike. Even among quasi-emperors, this was an extremely terrifying existence. Xiaochen wondered how many crown kings he was. Trying to escape? Sikongshan sneered, "Don't you think it's too late to escape now?" A gust of wind blew, enveloping Emo Xiao's soul and pulling him back. Emo Xiao screamed in horror, "I'm from the Demon Gate. If you dare to attack me, the Demon Gate will not let you off. The entire demon race will not let you off either." Sikongshan laughed, "You think you can defeat me? No matter how many of you there are, you are just ants in my eyes. You don't deserve to be compared to me. Tell me, who sent you here? How did you discover our formation?" Sikongshan's eyes shone with a cold light as he started to break Emo Xiao's soul. Emo Xiao screamed in despair. The 36 experts that he brought with him were all killed by a single palm strike. Emo Xiao was the only one who was still alive. However, it seemed that he would not be able to hold on for long. The Demon Gates people were elated. They were too proud of this matter. The other two sects did not have the chance to do it. If they succeeded, they would definitely be put in an important position. However, it did not take long for more than 30 soul jade tablets to shatter. The Demon Gates leader was stunned. How is this possible? Are they all dead? The other two sects were also shocked. They were originally mocking Emo Xiao, but now, they were so frightened that they could not speak. Even if they were the ones who sent out such a lineup, it would be the best. However, they were all killed so quickly. What was going on? The Demon Gates leader was stunned. "It seems that we need to go and investigate." The three of them discussed and decided to go. However, Lin Xian came out at this time. He also narrowed his eyes after learning about the situation. Could it be that someone from the Permitha realm had arrived in advance? He said, "Don't go. I'll go and take a look myself." He did not know if it was someone from the Permitha realm, or one of the Permitha realm's clans. Lin Xian had fought with the Permitha realm before. He knew that the Permitha realm in the deity land was very powerful. He had countless sects and clans under him. Any single one of them would be able to sweep through an entire region. Who would they send this time around? He wanted to see why these people wanted to attack the Yuhua immortal dynasty. With a flicker, Lin Xian's figure disappeared. On the other side, in the land above the Yuhua immortal dynasty, Imo Zhao's soul had been tortured to the point of hovering between life and death. He was extremely weak. Si Kongshan laughed coldly and said, "Who would have thought that you actually have some backbone? Until now you still won't say it?" Imo Zhao gritted his teeth. "I won't say anything. Also, we have Lin Gongzi behind us. He is extremely powerful. If he comes, he will definitely be able to save me." "Lin Gongzi? Ha 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 ha. You are really stupid. Do you think that there is someone who can fight against me? He probably wouldn't even be able to block a single punch from me." Si Kongshan sneered and shook his head. He was the 8-crown king. How powerful was his strength? He didn't place anyone in his eyes. In his opinion, in this world, other than the great emperor, there was no one else. He could do whatever he wanted. You don't know how powerful Lin Gongzi is. Lin Gongzi is someone who could become a great emperor in the future. Imo Zhao's eyes flashed with hope as he said this. If Lin Gongzi could come, he would be saved. However, he soon laughed bitterly. With Lin Gongzi's strength, why would he personally come to save him? He was afraid that he would die here today. Become a great emperor? He really doesn't know what death is. Since ancient times, how many geniuses wanted to become a great emperor? However, how many of them succeeded? How many geniuses have you seen? What Lin Gongzi? In my opinion, he is just a fool. If he dares to come, I can kill him with a slap. A powerful aura burst out from Si Kongshan's body. This aura caused Imo Zhao's face to turn incomparably pale. His eyes were filled with despair. How is this possible? You were hiding your strength before? Imo Zhao roared in horror. Si Kongshan laughed loudly. Why would I need to use my full strength to deal with ants like you? My true strength is the 8-crown king. How can he be so terrifying? Imo Zhao was in despair. However, at this moment, a voice rang out. Is the 8-crown king very impressive? Who are you? Si Kongshan's face darkened as he shouted coldly. Someone dared to look down on him. Get out here. He roared in anger. The heavens and earth crumbled as a young man walked out from the void. This youth was wearing a black robe. He had a handsome face and a pair of eyes that were incomparably calm. However, they were as deep as the sea of stars. They were boundless. Who are you? Si Kongshan's brows were tightly knitted together. When he saw this youth, he didn't know why. He felt that this youth was unfathomable. Lin Xian laughed. You are really trash. Didn't you say that you would kill me with a slap? Why can't you recognize me now that I am here? Lin Gongzi, Imo Zhao, who was standing at the side, exclaimed. He didn't expect Lin Xian to really come. He was really too happy. This was the hope in a hopeless situation. He hurriedly shouted, Lin Gongzi, be careful. He is very strong. He is the 8-crown king. Don't worry, it's just the 8-crown king. It's not a big deal. It's not like I haven't killed him before. Lin Xian said indifferently. Previously, when he was the 7-crown king, he could kill the 8-crown king. Now that he was the 8-crown king, it would be easy for him to kill someone of the same level. Was he being looked down on? Si Kongshan's face became ferocious. It's been a long time since someone dared to look down on me. Kid, do you know what the consequences are? After saying that, he walked forward. A powerful force emerged from his body, wanting to suppress everything. He cultivated the law of mountains. There were countless mountains around him, and there were fragments of immortal chi on them. They surrounded him like immortal mountains. Not one, but a million. They covered the sky and the earth, causing the void of the entire middle ground to tremble violently. Countless people looked up at the sky in horror. Heavens, what is that? Immortal mountains are descending. Under this pressure, kneel down in fear. Si Kongshan laughed sinisterly. However, he was destined to be disappointed. Lin Xian's surroundings were extremely quiet, and the void was not damaged. Ling Qian was like a sea-stabilizing needle, stabilizing this part of the world. Seeing this scene, Si Kongshan's pupils constricted. Die for me. Immortal technique, Thousand Mountain Fist. Si Kongshan took out his ultimate technique because he was completely enraged. A shocking force charged toward Lin Qian. Young master, dodge quickly, Emoshi exclaimed from behind. However, Lin Qian shook his head slightly in the face of such an attack. In the next moment, he stretched out a finger and gently swiped it in front of him. Heaven and earth were split open. On the tip of his finger, a piercing sword light turned into eternity between heaven and earth. After that finger, Lin Qian's palm fell, and a huge crack appeared in the entire world. Si Kongshan's fist stopped in midair, and his eyes widened. Then, with a crack, his body split in half. How could there be such a terrifying sword technique? Si Kongshan could not believe it even when he was dying. He, the 8-Crown King, was killed in a single strike. Chapter 58:24. Thunder rumbled between heaven and earth. The 8-Crown King had fallen. Emo Xiao was dumbfounded. This is the descent of the sword god. It's too powerful. He couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Thank you, young master, for saving my life. Lin Qian nodded slightly. Then, he looked to the side. Emo Xiao quickly said, there's an array here. This person came out from the array. This array is terrifying. Lin Qian glanced at it and said, it's indeed powerful. However, it's not a problem for me. His eyes were filled with confidence as he prepared to break the array. Inside the array, the people from the deity ground continued to move. They wanted to tear the great emperor apart. They wanted to thoroughly search for the Yuhua celestial dynasty. However, at this moment, a black mist came out from one of the pearls. It was followed by a scream. Seeing this, the expressions of the other 2 men in black changed. Oh no, Si Kongshan is dead. The woman leading the group also frowned after hearing this. She turned her head. This is impossible. Si Kongshan is the 8-Crown King. Who can kill him instantly? The other 2 men in black changed their expressions. There were great emperors in this era. Could it be that the great emperor's sect had made a move? Before they could finish their thoughts, the formation suddenly shook violently once more. Then, a crack was torn open in the formation, and it spread out in all directions. The entire formation was split open. Who is it? Inside the array, 3 people shouted angrily. The woman in the lead was called Nanshan. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She had personally set up this array. Naturally, she knew how terrifying it was. However, it could be broken in an instant. How terrifying was this person? Was it a peerless master or a group of people? She looked in front of her and was soon stunned. That was because she saw a handsome man walking in. He was alone. Furthermore, he was a young man. She quickly looked around. Is there an ambush? However, after a while, she was stunned. Lin Qian said, there's no need to look. I'm the only one here. I alone can suppress everything. What an arrogant statement. Nanshan was stunned. Who in this world dared to be so impudent in front of her? A man in black next to him said, Kid, do you know who we are? We are immortals in your eyes. Yet we don't kneel when we see immortals. Lin Qian shook his head slightly and smiled. Immortal? Do you think you're qualified to be called immortals? He had only cultivated some immortal arts and possessed an immortal chi seed. How dare you call yourself an immortal? You think I don't know where you're from? You're from the celestial land. When the 2 men in black heard this, their pupils constricted. Even Nanshan sucked in a breath of cold air. There were quite a few people who could discover them. However, very few people knew about the deity ground. Who exactly was this young man in front of him? You have no right to ask me that. Lin Qian walked forward, and a biting cold sword chi appeared in his hand. Sword chi instantly erupted. Damn it! So arrogant. Attack! The 2 black-robed men on the other side roared angrily as they unleashed their peerless immortal techniques. Immortal art, Hutu. Immortal technique, Heartless Sword. The earth shook, and many cracks appeared as they charged towards Lin Qian. On the other side, there was a strange sword technique that seemed to be piercing through Lin Xian's heart. However, Lin Xian took a step forward and waved his sword qi. Immortal technique, heaven-defying sword. His sword qi continued onward, cutting through everything in its path. This peerless technique was so terrifying. The two black-robed men were terrified. They wanted to attack again, but it was too late. This sword not only broke their immortal technique, but also slashed towards them. They wanted to retreat, but they were still hit. The two of them were cut apart. It was so terrifying. They wanted to recover, but at this moment, another sword slashed towards them. This time, it completely destroyed their souls. The two of them died in despair and fell into a sea of blood. Nanshan's pupils constricted. Damn it, how dare you? In the blink of an eye, all three of her subordinates were killed. Those were 3 8-crown champions. Could it be that the other party was a 9-crown champion? His expression was incomparably solemn. I will make you regret this. Nanshan let out a roar as a brilliant glow was emitted from her hand. It was a seal, and it was extremely terrifying. Its aura shot into the sky. The strength of the 9-crown champion was completely unleashed. Nanshan seal. She waved her hand, and the seal was extremely terrifying. Moreover, there was a dreamlike scene on it. There were divine trees growing, springs and waterfalls, and immortal mist spreading. Magnificent buildings and palaces also appeared in the mountains. What kind of seal was this? Emo Xiao, who was at the side, was stunned. Even the demon sect master would not be able to block this attack. There were not many people in the world who could block this attack. Lin Xian snorted coldly and threw out a punch. Let me feel the power of the 9-crown champion. He did not need to use any of his trump cards to fight against the 9-crown champion. The golden fist pierced through heaven and earth. It was like an immemorial golden crow flying and colliding with Nanshan. A deafening sound rang out, and flames danced and illusions filled the air. The southern mountain seal had been destroyed. You are only SOSO. Lin Xian used the 9 suns divine fist again. It was like thousands of suns appeared in the sky and quickly attacked. Boom, boom. Nanshan was beaten until she kept retreating. Her blood boiled, and her expression was ugly. Damn it, how dare you look down on me? He took out a flute and played it. An ear-piercing sound pierced through the sky. Emo Zhao's soul immediately split apart. No, he was in despair. But fortunately, Lin Xian blasted out a law, enveloping it. Soul attack? I didn't expect you to be proficient in this. However, it was still not enough. Lin Xian formed hand seals, and a taiji diagram appeared in front of him, spinning slowly. It was incomparably mysterious. The taiji diagram flew over, and the yin-yang sword appeared, slashing through the 9 heavens. It fought against the sound of the flute. The yin-yang diagram was too mysterious. The aura he emitted fell. Those strange sounds could not pass through at all. Damn it! Nanshan roared. She waved her hand, and a tail appeared behind her. What kind of demonic beast's tail was this? It was covered with scales, and it was extremely strange. As soon as the tail appeared, it hit the taiji diagram, trying to control it. Then, she played the flute and quickly charged towards Lin Xian. The sound of silence. This time, it could destroy the soul. Lin Xian's Rinnegan flew out. Heavenly Tao, Eye of Heaven. A figure flew out from it, like a fairy of the 9 heavens. She clapped her hands and hit Nanshan's flute. Nanshan's flute instantly shattered. Nanshan's entire body was also sent flying as if she had been struck by lightning. She looked at those eyes, and her body trembled. How can your soul be so powerful? Humph! Your strength is only if. You are not qualified to be my opponent. Lin Xian walked forward. He waved his hand, an endless sword qi interweaved, turning into a heavenly monument that suppressed forward. No, don't think of suppressing me. Nanshan shouted angrily, wanting to escape. However, she couldn't escape at all. She was suppressed to the ground, and she was so angry that she vomited blood. Lin Xian walked in front of her and said condescendingly, "Tell me your origins. Why did you attack the Yuhua immortal dynasty? Also, how many people did you send this time? How many great emperors came to save half a frog? Chapter 58:25. How do you know everything? Nan Shan was terrified. Lin Xian sneered. Because I'm a god. Tell me, how many great emperors have come? Don't even think about it. Nan Shan gritted her teeth. She would never tell anyone. She even said, Kid, just you wait. Wait for the great emperors of our immortal ground to come. You're dead. Stupid thing. If you tell me obediently, you can still have a quick death. But now, taste the pain of reincarnation. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan and began to collect the soul. Nan Shan let out a miserable cry. She, the Nine-Crown King, couldn't resist. Because Lin Xian's current strength was really too terrifying. Not long after, his soul was searched. Lin Xian received some news. He narrowed his eyes. Only one great emperor came? Fortunately, the situation wasn't too bad. If he could persuade Emperor Xia to stop that great emperor, it might be possible. However, Emperor Xia's relationship with him was only ordinary. Would he really stop a great emperor for him? Lin Xian didn't think so. Therefore, he had to make a good arrangement to make Emperor Xia and the Supreme Great Emperor clash. This way, he would have a chance to kill half a frog. As for you, there's no need for you to exist. Lin Xian took out the immortal slaying sword and killed Nan Shan with one strike. Nan Shan's body fell to the ground. However, Lin Xian didn't kill him. Instead, he let him fall here. Lin Xian planned to set up a trap with the Yuhua immortal dynasty as the background. A trap that was enough to make two great emperors fight. He entered the sword world and began to search for the treasures in the sword world. The only treasures that could make the great emperors jealous and even fight were in the sword world. However, no matter how hard he searched, Lin Xian still wasn't satisfied. Some fruits were not ripe yet, and Lin Xian felt that it was not enough to make the other party fight to the death. He thought of something, the supreme bone. He had just collected Nan Shan's soul and learned that a martial monarch had brought 3 Nine-Crown Kings and a group of experts to save the half-frog. Apart from this, these people also had another mission. Their mission was to explore the Yuhua immortal dynasty. If there was a need, he could destroy the Yuhua celestial dynasty. It seemed like Higan was afraid of something. As for the Supreme Exalted Bone, it was something that the Supreme Exalted Emperor needed in order to be reborn. If Lin Xian took out the Paragon Bone, he would definitely be able to attract the attention of the Emperor from the Permitha realm. At the same time, he thought about it for a moment. Coupled with the longevity lamp, Emperor Xia would definitely be tempted. After all, the Yuhua immortal dynasty was a legendary existence. If the Grand Xia Empire wanted to advance further, they had to obtain the secrets of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. Thinking of this, Lin Xian began to make arrangements. In order to kill half a frog, Lin Xian really went all out. In the vast universe, a streak of light streaked across. This streak of light was way too terrifying. It brought with it immortal qi. It was extremely vast. There was a figure inside. It was a man. From the looks of it, he was in his 30s and was extremely handsome. However, his face was a little pale. However, his true strength was that of a great emperor. He was called Great Emperor Baiyu. Behind him followed a group of powerhouses. Suddenly, Great Emperor Baiyu frowned. He flipped his hand. In his palm, there was a broken soul jade pendant. He snorted coldly. Nan Shan, that trash, actually died. Behind him, there were 2 Nine-Crown Kings. When they heard this, their pupils shrank. Nan Shan was dead. Nan Shan's strength was the weakest of the 3 Nine-Crown Kings. However, he wasn't that much weaker. Who could kill Nan Shan? Could it be the great emperor of this era? Great Emperor Baiyu, who was in front, said, "The great emperor disdains to make a move on such a person. Moreover, I can sense that the great emperor of this era is watching me." He didn't make a move. 9 Crown Kings were shocked. It seemed that there was an incredible person in this era. It was getting more and more interesting. Let's go. Great Emperor Baiyu increased his speed and cut through the void. Finally, he arrived at the true spirit world. The entire world was in an intense conflict. As soon as great Emperor Baiyu approached, the Grand Xia dynasty's Emperor Xia's immortal qi exploded. Boom! A terrifying power swept through the world. The two great emperors appeared together. It was as if two suns had appeared in the sky, facing each other. This aura directly caused a world-destroying storm. Everyone in the true spirit world was stunned. They prostrated themselves on the ground, terrified. The quasi-emperors felt their scalps go numb. Two great emperors. How was this possible? Wasn't there only one great emperor in an era? Why was there a second one? It wasn't just the true spirit world. On Burial Earth, all the powerhouses in the universe felt it. They were dumbfounded. This was completely beyond their understanding. The Grand Xia dynasty was even more terrified. Countless people trembled. The 9 great emperors' sons were also gathered together. Their expressions were incomparably grave as they used their imperial bloodlines to resist the attacks. The 9th prince was terrified. Impossible. This is the aura of a great emperor? The 5th prince roared crazily. Hurry up and investigate. Tell me what's going on. They were all crazy. The Grand Xia dynasty activated the array and prepared to investigate. However, at this moment, an order was given. Come back. No one is allowed to go out. Yes, Father. The 9th prince and the others turned around and shouted, Father, is this the aura of a great emperor? Is there another great emperor in this era other than you? That's impossible. Didn't your great Tao envelop the universe and dominate the firmament? The 9 great emperors' sons were all crazy. However, the Grand Xia dynasty's expression was extremely solemn. He said, It is indeed the aura of a great emperor. I can feel the immortal qi on him. Also, there is only one great emperor in each era. This is not wrong. However, what if he is not the great emperor of this era? Hearing this, the 9 great emperors' sons' pupils shrank. Not the great emperor of this world? Did the ancient great emperor come back to life? However, didn't the great emperors only live for 10 or 20,000 years? The Grand Xia dynasty's emperor shook his head and said nothing more. Although these people were his descendants, they were not qualified to know if they had reached this realm. He said, Stay in the Grand Xia dynasty's palace. Don't go out. After that, he rose into the air and flew into the distance. Immortal qi surrounded his feet. Countless people looked up at him as he flew into the 9 heavens. At the same time, great Emperor Baiyu arrived with her people. The 2 great emperors met for the first time. The 2 great emperors did not speak. Instead, they looked at each other. There was the power of immortal qi in their eyes. True immortal qi was a power that reigned above everything. Soon, their gazes collided with each other. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. The seas dried up, and the rocks crumbled. Countless strong people and boundary emperors all trembled. Just the collision of their gazes was enough to destroy everything. The people of the dragon tribe were terrified. Dragon Xiaoyan's expression was solemn. Has the great emperor's aura arrived? In the cave of the eastern wilderness, the half-frog was so excited that it was trembling. It's here. Great. I can feel the power of the other side. Haha, I'm finally coming out. After being suppressed for so many years, I'm finally coming out. How could the half-frog not be happy? Chapter 58:26. In the sky, the 2 emperors faced each other. At this moment, Emperor Xia spoke first. Are you from the mysterious deity ground? Interesting. Emperor Baiyu was also surprised. You guessed my origin in an instant. That's really surprising. The emperors of this era didn't disappoint me. Do you want to join the otherworld heavenly king? Emperor Baiyu looked at Emperor Xia and asked in a deep voice. Emperor Xia's pupils shrank. At the same time, on the other side, Lin Xin frowned. The situation doesn't look good. It seemed that he had to do something. He couldn't let the 2 emperors work together. Ruzalong, how's the array? Lin Xin asked. The Crimson Dragon said, It's basically done. It can be used soon. Lin Xin put the immortal slaying sword in the center of the array. He just needed to set it up and hold the 2 emperors back. Then, he would use the array to kill the frog. Lin Xian's body swayed and disappeared. In the sky, upon hearing this, Emperor Xia's heart began to beat rapidly. Join the otherworld heavenly king? To be honest, he was tempted, because this was a chance to become an immortal. If he didn't join the otherworld heavenly king, he could only choose to sleep in a few thousand years. Friends, please. Emperor Xia invited Emperor Baiyu and the others into the Great Xia dynasty. At this moment, the Great Xia dynasty was shocked. The coexistence of the two emperors attracted the attention of the world. At this moment, the universe was stunned. In the palace of the Great Xia dynasty, the two emperors were discussing something inside. No one knew what they were talking about. The people outside could only wait. On the other side, the 9 emperors' sons were very curious about the people from the deity ground. They kept looking at them. The people from the deity ground were all arrogant and looked up at the sky. They didn't even care about the emperor's sons. This made the 9 emperors' sons very angry. Were they being looked down on? On the other side, in the eastern wilderness, in the cave, the frog was mad. What's going on? What are the 2 emperors doing together? They're not fighting. What are they discussing? Aren't they going to save me? Come quickly. He couldn't wait a second. It shouldn't be that the other party came to save it first, right? Why isn't he here yet? He waited for 3 days, and only then did a 9-crowned king come, telling him to calm down a bit. The half-frog really wanted to slap the other party's face. However, he held himself back. After all, he still needed the other party's help. Found it. After 9-crowned king left, the renegade in the sky disappeared. Sword World. Lin Xian opened his eyes. He had finally found the place where the half-frog was. Now, he could set it up. He had already used the Yuhua celestial dynasty as the foundation to let the people of the 3 great demon races pass on the news. He said that in the Yuhua celestial dynasty, immortal light had appeared recently and treasures had appeared. Legend has it that the secret of longevity of the Yuhua immortal dynasty was that whoever obtained it would be able to live forever. He might even be able to discover the secrets of sovereigns. This news quickly spread. It didn't take long for the people of True Spirit World to find out. It even spread throughout the universe. Countless people were shocked. Countless pairs of eyes were looking at the scene. Who wouldn't want immortality? Wasn't cultivation for the sake of longevity? Those great emperors could only live for tens of thousands of years. After hearing this, the great emperors would probably be jealous. Sure enough, when the news spread to the Great Xia dynasty, the 9 great emperors were also shocked. The people of the Prometha realm didn't believe it. The secret of longevity was here. What kind of joke was this? They didn't even have a deity ground. However, a day later, a beam of light pierced through the sky and appeared in the universe. Everyone was shocked. What kind of power was this? It was so magical. Countless people exclaimed. The pupils of the people of the deity ground also shrank. Even the deity ground didn't have this kind of power. This true spirit world was truly mystical. At the same time, in the Great Xia dynasty's palace, the 2 great emperors also turned their heads. Their gazes pierced through heaven and earth. Previously, Great Emperor Baiyu had been discussing with Emperor Xia about joining the Prometha realm. He offered many conditions and outlined a beautiful blueprint, which made Emperor Xia very tempted. However, at this moment, the sudden appearance of the light interrupted their conversation. The 2 of them turned their heads. In the next moment, a cold light burst out from their eyes. The sudden appearance of the light was too mysterious. Even the 2 great emperors were shocked. Emperor Xia was the first to exclaim. It was in the direction of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. When Great Emperor Baiyu heard these words, he was also shocked. His other mission this time was related to the Yuhua immortal dynasty. He didn't expect to see the phenomenon of the Yuhua immortal dynasty not long after he arrived. Since this was the case, he was prepared to go and visit. Emperor Xia nodded. He also had the same intention. The 2 great emperors joined forces and headed to the Yuhua immortal dynasty. A few cracks had already appeared on the land of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. At this moment, there were experts from all over the heavens and realms investigating the situation. However, when the 2 great emperors arrived, these people all knelt on the ground. Greetings to the great emperors. Whether you were a powerhouse of the older generation, a young genius, or a boundary emperor, you all had to kneel. A bunch of ants, get lost. Before Emperor Xia said anything, Great Emperor Baiyu shouted coldly. His voice swept across the place like a storm. The people kneeling around were all sent flying. Fortunately, no one died. Of course, this was because he was controlling his power. Otherwise, all the living beings below would have died. The surrounding people were frightened and retreated into the distance. Emperor Xia's brows were tightly knitted together as well. Isn't this great emperor turning the tables on us? However, he didn't say anything. After all, he still wanted to join the Primithar realm. He looked down. What was so magical about this place? His gaze was like two divine lamps that pierced through heaven and earth. At this moment, a lamp appeared from the crack below. This bronze lamp was surrounded by a mysterious aura. This was the longevity lamp. After Lin Xian obtained it, he put it away. He didn't find any special use for it, so he took it out. When they saw the longevity lamp, the two great emperors were also surprised. What a mysterious flame. However, they didn't immediately make a move. Emperor Xia said, "This lamp is so mysterious. Why don't the two of us study it together?" Okay. Great Emperor Baiyu nodded. The two of them reached out together and grabbed the longevity lamp. Soon, they caught it. However, at this moment, an even more mysterious aura appeared from below the ground. It was a bone that floated under the ground. The aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. This was the supreme bone. When they saw this scene, an extremely sharp light burst out from the eyes of the two great emperors. Great Emperor Baiyu grabbed at the white bone with his palm. However, the white bone seemed to be very agile and dodged instantly. The ground below was shattered, and the white bone came into the void. Emperor Xia was delighted. With a wave of his hand, his sleeve covered the sky and earth, enveloping the white bone. When he saw this scene, Great Emperor Baiyu was completely furious. He shouted coldly, "Stop!" At the same time, an incomparably terrifying murderous aura erupted from his body and swept across the world. Everyone became terrified. This was probably something that had not happened for tens of thousands of years. Now that they had seen it, he wondered if he was lucky or unlucky. It turned out to be a fight. On the side of the Dragon Clan, Long Xiaotian looked up and frowned tightly. He had always felt that he was very close to becoming a great emperor. However, now that he felt the great war in the extraterritorial realm, he felt that he was a great emperor. Only then did he realize that there was still such a huge gap between him and the great emperors. Strength. I want great strength. I want to increase my strength. He clenched his fists tightly. Eastern Wilderness. Half Frog also frowned. What's going on? Why are you fighting with Emperor Xia? This time, was the great emperor sent by the deity ground reliable? He was very depressed. Until now, he still hadn't been saved? Lin Xian, on the other hand, was smiling. This was great. A bone of supremacy had finally caused a battle between two great emperors. Next, he could carry out his plan, which was to kill the other half of the frog. Extremely cold killing intent burst out from Lin Xian's eyes. He already knew where Half Frog was. It was in the Eastern Wilderness. This time, he directly went to the Eastern Wilderness to kill. He was very fast. He tore open the void and soon arrived in the Eastern Wilderness. In the vast mountains, there was a cave residence. Lin Xian cut open the cave residence with a sword, and there was a monstrous demonic aura inside. Half Frog also shouted angrily, "Who is it? How dare you attack me?" His voice was like thunder. In the next moment, his brain swelled, and his pupils shrank. "It's you." His whole body became ferocious, and he was so angry that he kept jumping. "Despicable kid, it's you. You actually came 100,000 years later." His killing intent surged. In an instant, he leaped out like an Archean demonic beast. He slammed into the ground, shattering the void. But not long after, he screamed. The chains on his back restrained him and pulled him back again. He fell to the ground and was extremely unwilling to accept this. Damn it, if I wasn't suppressed, I could kill you with one claw. It's all your fault. I came here and can't merge. Don't worry, I'll be out soon. When I get out, I'll tear you to pieces. I won't let you be reincarnated 100 times. Half Frog was murderous. You want to go back and merge? You want to regain your freedom? Dream on. This time, I'm here to send you on your way. I'll completely destroy your heart and soul. Lin Xian sneered. Little ant, you? Do you know that I'm a great emperor? You're just a small 8-crown champion. The difference between us is like the difference between heaven and earth. You can't even break through my defense, let alone kill me. Half Frog seemed to have heard the funniest joke. He laughed out loud. Indeed, even if he stood there and let a group of 9-crown champions attack him, he wouldn't be injured. That was the difference in strength. Moreover, it was a huge gap. Numbers couldn't make up for it. Only by gathering true immortal chi could it. You're wrong. Lin Xian sneered. First, you're just half a great emperor. You don't have immortal chi to protect you. So, you're not unkillable. Second, although I'm the 8-crown champion, the trump cards in my hand are not something you can imagine. So, it's not impossible for me to kill you. Lin Xian smiled confidently. Half Frog's heart pounded wildly. What was going on? Seeing Lin Xian smile, he actually panicked. Impossible. He wanted to comfort himself. But in the next moment, he discovered that a huge formation had appeared around him. It formed a spatial gate and enveloped him. Was it teleporting him away? Damn it, don't even think about it. He jumped again, wanting to smash the spatial gate. At this moment, Lin Xian decisively used the heaven-swallowing jar. The black jar turned into a vortex and slammed over, floating above Half Frog's head. That huge whirlpool swallowed half of the frog and the demonic palace together. In the next moment, the invisible man teleported and disappeared from the eastern wilderness. Not many people noticed this process. However, Dragon Shoutian frowned. That's not right. That guy's aura disappeared. Could it be that he's free? That shouldn't be. The 2 great emperors above are still fighting. He was very confused. In the sky, Great Emperor Baiyu, who was fighting in the starry sky, also changed his expression. He also felt that the half-emperor's aura had disappeared. What's going on? He was confused, but soon, he didn't care anymore. So what if it disappeared? Although the other party was only half a body, he was still a half-emperor. In this world, only Emperor Xia was capable of harming him. Emperor Xia was fighting with him now, so the other party was absolutely safe. He didn't pay any more attention to them. He was going to seize this supreme being bone first. In the vast universe, in addition to the 2 great emperors fighting, in another place in the universe, a spatial gate teleported out. Then, demonic chi filled the sky. It was a demon palace with half a frog tied up. Opposite it stood 3 figures, Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the Toad. This place should be far enough. The Toad looked around. Although it could still feel the aura of the great emperors fighting, it was already very far away. The Crimson Dragon said, "It should be fine." Lin Xian nodded. "Don't worry, this is his burial place." Chapter 58:28. Half Frog was so angry that he vomited blood. The 3 little ants kept saying that they wanted him to die. He couldn't stand the so-called burial ground. Indeed, although he was sealed now, it didn't mean that he couldn't fight back. A huge claw, covering the sky and the earth, fell down. This was the physique of a great emperor. It was extremely powerful. As soon as he made his move, the surrounding sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The vast power made all the creatures on the surrounding planets fall to the ground. What was going on? These people were all stunned. They could feel that there were 2 great emperors fighting in the distant universe. What? Now the aura of a great emperor appeared? Had this era changed? How could there be 3 great emperors? I must be dreaming. The 2 quasi-emperors on the nearby planets slapped their own mouths. They wanted to wake up from their sleep. Lin Xian used the sky-swallowing jar and created many black vortexes, enveloping them and blocking this attack. The next moment, he said to the crimson dragon, "Do it." The dark red divine dragon nodded. With a roar, it transformed into a divine dragon that was 100 feet long. Its claws danced nonstop. Lin Xian, on the other hand, activated the sword world. From within, an array formation appeared. The array formation was extremely spectacular. As soon as it appeared, countless dragon roars shook the 9 heavens. The quasi-emperors on the nearby planets were stunned. They looked up. What was this? Dragon? The sky was full of dragons. Each of them was extremely terrifying, sweeping across the world. So many dragons gathered together. Was this dragon race trying to defy the heavens? Boom, boom. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. The giant dragons covered the sky, and Half Frog was enveloped. Half Frog was originally disdainful. He didn't care about the 3 little ants, even if the other party had an extreme weapon. So what? They couldn't do anything to him. However, when this array formation appeared, his expression changed. What a terrifying dragon. Did the dragon race cooperate with the other party? No, this was not a living dragon. This was a dragon vein, a supreme grade dragon vein. Half Frog, as a great emperor, saw at a glance that there were 9,999 supreme grade dragon veins. Was the other party using the power of these dragon veins to set up an array formation? Clearly, it was a super array formation. So what if it was a formation? Even a great emperor-level formation might not be able to kill me. The Half Frog roared again and again. Is that so? Just you wait and see. Today, I will kill you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He pulled out the immortal slaying sword and placed it in the middle of the formation. The immortal slaying sword shone brightly, emitting a resonant killing intent that coordinated with the 9,999 dragons. At the same time, the Crimson Dragon was rapidly approaching from afar. Immortal Extermination Array. Rise. A terrifying murderous sword chi appeared between heaven and earth, making the half-frog's hair stand on end. He stared at the immortal slaying sword with his eyes wide open. How is this possible? Why do you have this sword? Wasn't this sword lost long ago? Where did you get it? Obviously, he recognized the immortal slaying sword. You are setting up the immortal slaying sword formation. Half-frog's face turned green. He had never seen the immortal slaying sword formation with his own eyes, but he was the great emperor of the Nirvana realm after all. He knew many secrets and ancient legends. The Nirvana realm once had many enemies. Although these people were all gone, they had once caused heavy losses to others. One of them was very terrifying. This person was the owner of the immortal slaying sword. Not only did he have the immortal slaying sword, but he also had 3 other battle swords. The 4 battle swords could form the immortal slaying sword formation, which had once killed several great emperors of the Nirvana realm. This was a killing sword that had truly been stained with the blood of the great emperors. It was famous. However, it was said that back then, that person was also defeated by the joint forces of the Nirvana realm. In the end, even the 4 battle swords disappeared in the vast universe. Unexpectedly, the immortal slaying sword appeared again. Moreover, it was in the hands of this kid in front of him. If I kill you and take the immortal slaying sword, the Lord will definitely be happy. At that time, I will definitely make a great contribution. His eyes were red. Lin Xian sneered. You still want to take the treasure now? Do you think you can survive? Lin Xian roared again. He summoned the great dragon sword soul and also poured it into the formation. This time, the formation was completely formed. No, damn it. The half-frog's face changed again. He felt the horror of the sword chi. Before, he didn't care much. With only 1 immortal slaying sword, he thought he could still compete. But now, when he saw this formation, he panicked. Although there was only 1 immortal slaying sword, it had the great dragon sword soul and 9,999 supreme grade dragon veins. The great dragon sword soul was an offensive saint technique. With this immortal slaying sword, who knew what kind of power it would produce? No, he had to fight back quickly. The claws kept waving, and the surrounding void kept shattering. It seemed to be able to penetrate the universe. When it hit the array formation shook violently. The toad said, "Is it okay?" Lin Xian said, "The formation has been activated. It won't be broken so easily. Now, let him see the power of the immortal slaying sword formation." As soon as his voice fell, the immortal slaying sword made a loud and clear sound. The great dragon sword soul revolved around it, and the great dragon sword soul absorbed the power of the 999 dragon veins. The sword slashed out and hit the half-frog's claw. It made a clanging sound. The half-frog's claw was sent flying, and a crack appeared on it. Was he injured? Damn it! The half-frog let out a crazy roar. How could the power of this formation be so strong? He remembered the ancient legend. The immortal slaying sword formation had really killed the great emperor and more than one. Could it be that he was going to die under the immortal slaying sword formation? Damn it, I don't believe it. Although he didn't have immortal chi, he was still a great emperor's physique. He used his physique to fiercely bombard the surrounding formation. He wanted to break these supreme gray dragon veins. However, at this moment, the sword formation was already surrounded by sword chi all over the sky. The great dragon sword soul was invincible, and the immortal slaying sword formation was murderous. The combination of the two completely destroyed the half-frog's attack. This made the half-frog go crazy. He really couldn't believe that such a terrifying attack could be easily blocked by this formation. Seeing this scene, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth raised into a smile, as expected of the legendary immortal slaying sword formation. The Crimson Dragon and the Toad were also excited. Could it be that they could kill a great emperor? Thinking of this, they were all dancing with joy. Little White jumped out, holding a spiritual fruit, and sat in the void, eating the fruit while watching the show. Kill! Lin Xian and the others fiercely attacked. The sword chi all over the sky hit the half-frog's body, forcing it to retreat. A few more cracks appeared on the half-frog's body, and a few drops of emperor blood dyed the void red. The surrounding world couldn't bear it at all, and even the nearby planets kept collapsing. Not good. The people on the planets were horrified. What is this? This is the blood of a great emperor. Run. Even those quasi-emperors fled frantically. Damn it. How could this be? The half-frog was unusually furious. He was actually injured. He was injured by 3 ants. It was unbearable. Chapter 58:29. How about it? Do you still dare to question our strength now? Do you really think that I can't kill you today? Lin Xian sneered. Half-Frog was so angry that he vomited blood. Damn brat, come and fight if you have the guts. This emperor will slap you to death. After Lin Xian heard this, he shook his head and sneered. Are you out of your mind? The toad said, Are you retarded? We are just quasi-emperors. You are a great emperor. Do you think you have the nerve to say such words? Where is your face? Half-Frog was so angry that he vomited blood. He felt very angry. He roared angrily and rushed in all directions again, trying to escape. Damn ant, you have completely angered me. Today, I will let you see the true power of a great emperor. Half-Frog roared angrily and lay down half of his body. There was a terrifying light pulsating, and a powerful force swept out. Lin Xian and the others were shocked back. The toad also exclaimed, Damn, is this immortal chi? It wasn't immortal energy. This fellow wanted to go all out. Be careful. Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. Half-Frog was really serious. The aura emitted from his body made the surrounding sun, moon, and stars all fall. In the end, his powerful soul pressed down. The whole universe was shaking. Lin Xian and the others felt that their souls were about to split. Lin Xian hurriedly took out the sky-swallowing jar. There was a black vortex above their heads to resist this aura. It was just an extreme weapon. It couldn't save their lives. Half-Frog spat out a terrifying poison. This was the poison of a great emperor, which could corrode everything. Sure enough, as soon as it appeared, it made the black vortex shake as if it was about to shatter. Then, Half-Frog attacked again. His claws became extremely sharp, with a demonic light, cutting through heaven and earth. Boom! The black vortex was torn apart and was about to smash Lin Xian and the others into pieces. But at this time, Lin Xian and the others once again activated the immortal slaying sword formation. A sword across the sky. It blocked this claw and slashed back with lightning-like power. With a clang, half of the frog was forced back again. Damn it! He was so angry that he roared crazily. He was so close to killing the other party. Lin Xian was furious. He said, "We can't be careless anymore. Kill him quickly. It would be troublesome if another emperor monarch came." Half a frog was really too terrifying. Even if they were suppressed, the celestial slaying sword could almost kill them. Therefore, they had to give it their all. "All right, I will cooperate with you and burn 9,999 peak gray dragon veins." The crimson dragon made a seal with its palms. On Lin Xian's side, cold sweat was dripping down his forehead. He used his powerful soul power to control the entire formation. Buzz! The immortal slaying sword in the formation shook violently, emitting a shocking force. Sensing this power, the half-frog's face darkened once more. This was the power of immortal slaying. This was killing intent. Not good. He raised his head and roared angrily. His body blossomed with 10,000 rays of light that pulsed non-stop. Even though he did not have any immortal chi, he had fully utilized his flesh of the martial monarch realm. Boom! The half-frog rushed over again. It was so fast that Lin Xian and the others could not react in time. This was not the speed of a quasi-emperor at all. This was the speed of a great emperor. Lin Xian activated his Rinnegan to the extreme. He could only capture a trace of an afterimage. No, the immortal slaying sword seemed to have sensed the power of the half-frog and took the initiative to attack. The sword slashed over, splitting heaven and earth. A shadow was slashed out. The half-frog screamed. Half of his body had been split open. His bones appeared and blood dyed the 9 heavens red. In the next moment, the universe in that place was constantly shattering. Several planets were directly torn apart, turning into a land of death. When the quasi-emperors in the distance saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. Heavens! The half-frog was a great emperor and had the blood of a great emperor. But what was going on with those young people? How could a quasi-emperor kill a great emperor? Was this a joke? They were all crazy. The half-frog also couldn't believe it. How could it be like this? Great! The power of the immortal slaying sword had completely erupted. "Then I'll send you to hell in one go," Lin Xian roared. He continued to activate the immortal slaying sword and slashed over. The immortal slaying sword had the power to slay heaven, earth, and immortals. At this moment, it erupted. Up to the 9 heavens, down to the 9 underworlds, the stars all shook. With another sword, the half-frog was sent flying again. Heaven and earth shattered, as if it had turned into eternal light. At this moment, even the 2 great emperors who were fighting far away felt it. They all stretched out their souls and looked into the distance. What was there? Why did they feel a power that made them shocked? Did another great emperor appear? Dragon Shout Eon also felt it. Why was there so much power of the dragon? What was it? He was extremely shocked. Some people from the dragon race felt their scalps go numb. They felt the power of the supreme gray dragon vein. Previously, they had lost too many supreme gray dragon veins in the war with the demon race. It caused their vitality to be greatly damaged. And now, these supreme-grade spirit veins actually appeared in the same place. Someone was setting up a trap. What? They didn't know. And on the other side, Lin Xian sped up this time. He knew that once the 2 great emperors came over, he wouldn't have a chance to make a move again. Therefore, he had to take advantage of this opportunity to kill the other party completely. Kill. 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 Lin Xian roared crazily. The 9,999 supreme-grade dragon veins burned, providing a huge amount of power. The immortal slaying sword kept attacking. Every time, half of the frog's body was split open. The last time, half of the frog's body was completely split open. It was split into 2 halves. Half of the frog was very miserable. Moreover, What made him even angrier was that his broken body couldn't be completely healed in a short time. Damn it! It was the power of the great dragon sword soul. Damn it! Previously, his body was split open. Other than the demon emperor, there was also the power of the great dragon sword. Otherwise, he wouldn't be half of his body. Now, he was slashed by the power of the great dragon sword. Damn it! He could feel his life slipping away. The other party's trump card really had the possibility of killing him. The great emperors were high and mighty and had immortal chi, but it didn't mean that they couldn't die. The great battle in the past had turned many great emperors into white bones. It wasn't easy for the half-frog to live until now. He didn't want to die like this. He hadn't become an immortal yet. He wanted longevity. He wanted to live forever. He couldn't die in the hands of these little ants. He let out an unwilling roar. Fellow Taoist from the other side, come and save me. Even if you are at the edge of the universe, you can still hear the great emperors cry for help. Sure enough, in the sky above the true spirit world, two great emperors were fighting. Great Emperor Baiyu frowned. What was going on? He heard someone crying for help. Was it the half-frog he wanted to save? How could it be the other party who was in danger? It shouldn't be? Who was it? Was it those supremes in the forbidden land of life? Damn it! He roared angrily and tore the void apart. He wanted to go. Chapter 58:30. Was the other party leaving? Emperor Xia heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Fighting with the other party had put him under a lot of pressure. The other party was indeed a great emperor who had walked out of the legendary Permitha. He was really too strong. But fortunately, the other party was leaving now. Just as he relaxed, great Emperor Baiyu, who had torn open the void, suddenly turned his head. A cruel smile appeared in his eyes. Immortal technique, blade of light. A ray of light broke the sky and the earth. The stars were destroyed. Then, the world was split open. The Xia Emperor cried out in pain as well. His left hand had actually been severed. Following that, the Emperor's bone fell from his left hand. In the next moment, it was grabbed by a huge claw and brought to the side of Great Emperor Baiyu. I'll take this. Great Emperor Baiyu entered the space crack. Damn it! The Xia Emperor had gone completely mad. His eyes were bloodshot. Stay here. How could he endure such a big loss? He had been a great emperor for 15,000 years. He had been high and mighty for 15,000 years. In these 15,000 years, no one dared to challenge him. He had not known the feeling of being injured for a long time. Now, he was injured. Moreover, he was ambushed. Unforgivable. Father. Below, the 9 Supremes princes were also terrified. Was their father injured? As for Emperor Xia, he roared into the sky. His loud voice shattered the world. Then, in the Grand Xia Empire, a long sword appeared. It was a golden sword. It was Emperor Xia's sword. Held in his hand, it was an extreme weapon. At this moment, when it was used by a great emperor, it was really terrifying to the extreme. With a slash of the sword, it was as if it could cut open the universe. The void was completely shattered. Great Emperor Baiyu was also shaken out by this sword. He did not succeed in leaving. At this moment, his face was cold. You dare to stop me? So what if I stop you? You dare to hurt me? I will take revenge today. As a great emperor, how could he allow himself to be defeated? He was the strongest in this era. Even if the other party was from the Permitha, he could not. Courting death. A pair of white wings appeared behind Great Emperor Baiyu's back. As he flapped his wings, the stars in the sky lost their radiance. He wanted to escape with the Paragon Bone. Emperor Xia, on the other hand, had already taken out the Emperor Xia's sword and would not give up so easily. Emperor Xia's sword cut through the heavens and the earth, and he clashed with his opponent yet again. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon and the others were extremely nervous. However, after a while, they realized that the other emperor hadn't appeared. This allowed them to breathe a sigh of relief. Lin Xian said, "That's great. Looks like you're not that lucky." Half-Frog went crazy. How could this be? Damned idiot. What else do you have to delay? Hurry up and save me. He was crazy. What could be more important than him? He was about to die. Little did he know that martial monarch Bayou was vomiting blood in her heart too. Originally, he wanted to save half of the frog's body. He planned to ambush the other party before he left. That way, he could kill many birds with one stone. But who would have thought? Emperor Xia was actually this crazy, looking as if he would never give up. Both sides were really angry. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to come back in a short time. Lin Xian and the others all laughed. If your luck is bad, then stay here forever. 100,000 years later, he roared to the sky and activated the immortal slaying sword formation with all his strength. The immortal slaying sword formation erupted with endless power. 3,000 stars turned into sword chi and swept across the world. This will be the place where you will be buried. With a roar, the immortal slaying sword formation completely enveloped half of the frog. The terrifying sword chi pierced through the world, and the stars in the universe were all collapsing. The immortal slaying sword had once killed a great emperor. This sword was extremely sharp. At this moment, it erupted with all its strength, turning that place into chaos. Was it over? The Crimson Dragon and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. However, at that moment, a crack suddenly appeared in the primal chaos. A big claw stretched out. Half Frog roared crazily. I am a great emperor, immortal and indestructible. I will not die in your hands. It was still alive. The Crimson Dragon's face became incomparably ugly. Lin Xian frowned as well. Is this the power of a great emperor? It was only half a body. The immortal slaying sword formation that they had carefully arranged couldn't kill it? It was really too terrifying. However, no matter how terrifying it was, so what? The immortal slaying sword formation had once killed a great emperor. It could do it before, and it could do it now. Kill it for me. Lin Xian roared angrily again. He opened the sword world again, and some of the power in the sword world also emerged. The dragon's sword spirit roared. It actually poured into the immortal slaying sword. The immortal slaying sword seemed to have a soul. It released another peerless sword. This sword seemed to be able to cut through the ancient times. No. Half of the frog let out a desperate roar. In the next moment, its huge body was enveloped by sword chi. With a rumbling sound, the entire universe was split in half. Lin Xian's face was pale, and his body was on the verge of collapse. Little White, who was beside him, hurriedly took out a lot of spirit fruits from the sword world, as well as the divine spring of life, and gave it to Lin Xian to swallow. Lin Xian ate it and recovered a bit of strength. Then, they all looked ahead nervously. This time, that half of the frog should be dead. The front was still chaotic, but there was no more half of the frog's figure. Dead, it was really dead. Chapter 58:31. In the vast universe, a rain of blood fell. The faces of Lin Xian and the others changed. They could sense a powerful aura approaching them at a rapid pace. It's the arch. Let's go. They quickly left. At this moment, Lin Xian used the heaven-devouring jar to envelop half of the frog's body and took it away. This was the corpse of the arch. It contained endless power. He would definitely not give it up. After doing this, he tore open the void and left. In the next moment, a white feather slashed down from the sky, shattering heaven and earth. The Archbayou descended. He roared crazily. Damn it! Who is it? Who is it? Is it really dead? He used his emperor-level soul to investigate and found that half of the frog was really killed. A half-step the arch died just like that? He felt his hair stand on end. What kind of terrifying existence was hidden in this universe? This aura belonged to the Archbayou, as expected of an emperor-level figure. His soul was so powerful that he could feel many terrifying auras. At the same time, he also felt the auras of 3 little ants. 3 quasi-emperors were here. Impossible. These 3 quasi-emperors couldn't even break through the defense of the arch. How could they appear in this place? Whatever, they must know something. I'll capture them and search their souls. The Archbayou's eyes shone brightly. He waved his hand, and a painting appeared in front of him. Then, He injected the auras of the 4 people he collected into the painting. In the next moment, the painting covered the sky and earth, covering the entire universe. From the painting, 4 figures appeared. They were Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, Little White, and the Toad. In the universe, Wu Jia looked up at the sky again. What happened? Where did this painting come from? The Archbayou's cold voice sounded. Whoever captures these 4 people will be taught the Thearchas the Arch Mystique. Boom. This news was like a thunderclap in the universe. Countless people went crazy, their eyes turning red. The divine ability of a great emperor was a supreme art. They all thought of it, especially those quasi-emperors. They all prepared to take action. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, there were still some people who were dumbfounded. For example, those from the demon race. They exclaimed, "This is Lin Gongzi. How did Lin Gongzi offend a great emperor?" The people of the Dragon Clan also exclaimed, "Dragon God. It's the Dragon God. He's still alive. That's great." Their relationship with Lin Xian was complicated. On the one hand, they should be like Long Xiaotian, hostile to each other. However, Lin Xian had saved them. They owed a debt of gratitude to an ancient expert of the dragon race. Therefore, they didn't want him to die. Now that he saw Lin Xian and the others again, he was naturally happy. However, they soon became worried again. Lin Xian had offended a great emperor. The situation was not good. This guy was really like a lingering spirit. He was still not dead even after all this. Long Yu snorted coldly. Long Xiaotian was the same. He narrowed his eyes and frowned. Could it be that this kid had something to do with the fall of the great emperor? Imperial Father, what is going on? The 9 princes also came to Emperor Xia's side to ask, because everything that had happened before was really too strange. Emperor Xia's brows were tightly furrowed. This kid was probably related to the fall of the previous great emperor. The 9th prince said, "Could it be that he did it?" When these words came out, the other princes also sucked in a breath of cold air. Impossible? The 5th prince shook his head frantically. What kind of existence was a great emperor? Even if 10,009 crown kings attacked, they wouldn't be able to hurt a great emperor at all. This guy wasn't 9 crown king yet. How could he kill a great emperor? However, no matter what they said, the quasi-emperors in the universe had already started to move. They wanted to capture Lin Xian and the others. In the vast universe, a black whirlpool was floating. Within the whirlpool, there was a black whirlpool. Lin Xian and the others had already entered the sword world. In order to avoid the detection of the great emperors, they came in. After entering, Lin Xian placed the heaven-swallowing jar on the ground. With a wave of his hand, the corpses of the great emperors appeared in the heaven-swallowing jar. A monstrous blood aura filled the air. The Crimson Dragon frowned. What a strong resentment. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to absorb it. Lin Xian also nodded. The power of the great emperors contained true immortal qi. If they wanted to absorb it directly, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. In addition, the resentment on this half-frog's body. They didn't dare to absorb it. However, they wouldn't waste it. He said, although it can't be absorbed, it can provide power. In the future, it can be fully recovered, the great dragon sword soul, or an extreme weapon. This was a super strong energy. The toad said, I want to try. He was really too excited. This half-frog was of the same species as him, so the toad really wanted to try. Lin Xian said, it's very dangerous. The toad said, this is my only chance. Kid, your trump card is heaven-defying, and your talent is super strong. Becoming a great emperor is no problem. But it's different for us. Even in this era where the immortal ground descended, it's as difficult as ascending to the heavens to become a great emperor. Now there's such a frog here. If I don't absorb it, there's no justice. Although it's dangerous, I'm willing to give it a try. Okay, Lin Xian nodded. Then give it a try. But remember, your life is the most important. Don't worry, kid. I won't court death. The toad said. Next, the toad began to try to absorb the power of this half-frog. After Lin Xian and the others recovered a little, they came out. After coming out, his little face darkened, because he also saw that the picture scroll in the universe was the four of them. It seemed that there were already many people who had ideas about them. Next, there would probably be endless battles. Let me see. Who dares to come? The Crimson Dragon snorted angrily. Now that he was also a 7-crown king, he was very close to becoming an 8-crown king. Maybe he could persevere in battle and break through to become a 7-crown king. A sharp light burst out from his eyes. Lin Xian said, "Don't do anything. Spread the news. I want to see who dares to come." The news he was talking about was naturally the news that they had killed a great emperor. When this news came out, those quasi-emperors would probably be scared silly. Soon, Lin Xian and the others spread the news. In an instant, everyone in the universe knew. What did you say? These 4 people had killed a great emperor. That was impossible. Who were they? They were at most quasi-emperors. How could they kill a great emperor? Some people said, "I think it's possible. After all, another great emperor is chasing after them." At this time, who would dare to admit that they had killed a great emperor? However, the 4 of them dared. This showed that the 4 of them had enough trump cards. Some quasi-emperors already felt their scalps go numb. If they went up to someone who had killed a great emperor, wouldn't they be courting death? Therefore, they immediately gave up. Of course, some people didn't believe it. They wanted to see it with their own eyes. Finally, they found Lin Xian and wanted to see Lin Xian's strength with their own eyes. Of course, the price was to go to hell. In the universe, more than a dozen quasi-emperors gathered together and attacked Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian used the immortal slaying sword and killed all these people. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.